Oh, peace to the family, peace, love, and light. Welcome back to another explosive, amazing episode of Know the Ledge Radio. All right, today we're doing a what could be considered a after five, traffic hour drive by. You feel me?
Come on.
We normally, we normally come on in the later hours of the evening, but nonetheless, this is an amazing time to broadcast. People are just getting tapping out or getting ready to leave their jobs,
Mhm.
and they're making time for themselves,
Come on.
right? They utilize those workforce hours to scroll Instagram and get tips and some highlights on some things that they really want to be, engaged in. So
Yes.
now you have the opportunity to just turn the phone on or turn the whatever particular feed that they have and hear the wonderful words of Vicki Dillard. In my opinion, you should be accompanying them on the way to work and coming home. Your commentary.
Oh, bless you.
Think about that 5 o'clock free ride for them. So with no further ado, I want to bring on my co-host, Brother Red Pill.
Oh,
He goes
Peace, peace.
you. Please.
right. So we in the building, yes. And I was saying to her, Red, that normally we would broadcast a little bit later, but this feels good.
Indeed, indeed. I am bowing to both of you, these cultural legends. We don't know how blessed we are. And it's a high privilege to be with you both. Thank you so much for allowing me to be with you today.
Oh, it's an honor. It is an honor of ours to be able to open up this portal and to see you and, to hold space for you this evening. Yeah. So this has been highly anticipated. You know what I'm saying? So
Indeed.
the
Beautiful.
honor is definitely ours. Yes.
That's absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much. I'm just letting my Instagram family know right
Let them
now
know.
that I am with the legends. Hey, Instagram. I have the
Yeah.
high privilege to be with these beautiful two cultural legends right now and Know the Ledge TV. Join us. Ashe. Go
Yes,
ahead,
indeed.
brother.
Yeah. So we are here. This has been a long time coming, but we're totally tapped in. You know, and today is your day. Tonight is your night. You feel me?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, we just here putting the decorations up. You know what
Thank you, Blessing.
Yes,
So
indeed.
I'll
Indeed,
follow your
indeed.
lead.
Yes. So,
Yes,
our
yes,
good
indeed.
brother Red, we haven't heard from you yet. Please tap in.
Okay, can you hear me? Is my
Yes.
audio good?
Yes, it is.
I can hear
All
you.
right. First and foremost, I want to say peace, love, and light to everybody that's out there. Hold on, let me fix this. Here we go.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
Sound
Yes, that
Gotta get
signature
them.
sound.
Yes. Gotta get them sounds in there.
Come
So I just
on.
want to say that I am definitely honored to be on this platform with you today. Um, I've been gracious. I've been sitting back in the audience, and I've also been on the dance floor with you.
Oh,
Doing the
yes.
dance since you came out a few years ago, and your meteoric rise is well deserved. You've been putting in a lot of work. You've been on purpose. You feel
Mm,
me?
yes,
You've
sir.
been you've been consistent. And you smiled in the face of adversity on many occasions. I've seen it.
Mm,
I've seen it in
mm,
real time,
mm,
and I've seen things come at you faster than a UFO. You know what I mean? Like
mm,
the campaigns and
mm.
things of that nature. But you could tell the character of somebody by the way that they persevere.
Ashe.
Shay. So you've
Don't make me
continued.
cry on here now.
Nah,
Come
we
on,
pulling for some
let's do
tears.
it,
It's a
please.
Thursday.
Okay, I'm trying to come on. Stop playing now. Stop
Nah.
playing.
So we are here to support you and your endeavors. I know that you have another goddess workshop coming up. You've been doing a lot of those, firing up and invigorating the sisters out there, the sisterhood out there,
Yes.
you know, tapping into these downloads that you've been getting, listening to Big Mama, you know, because that voice is very loud these days. So we're gonna have an interesting conversation. I got some questions I want to ask you. We're gonna pose some questions. We're gonna get some we're gonna get you to talk black to us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yes,
we're gonna take it from there.
Beautiful.
Indeed.
Such a privilege. Yes, sir.
Yes,
Right.
indeed. So
We could get started.
yeah, let's make the assumption that we're here in front of an audience, and there's a percentage that knows who Vicki Dillard is, and there may be a percentage who doesn't. So
Right.
please introduce yourself. Give us the grand introduction.
Yes, sir. Well, again, I bow to you both. Again, it's such a privilege and an honor to be with you both. And I just have to say that your impact has not really been reverence, good, reverence. I mean, you all, we have legends in our midst, and I know that you all honor our elders and so forth, but I really see you all as that. And you're more than what meets the eye. Your commentary, what you provide, your energy, your vibration, the frequency in which you move is beyond just earth. You give us poetry when you speak. You give us cosmic stuff. You give us natural stuff. You expand us. You're strange and good and just juicy. And you.
Let that go.
Indeed.
Can I share something with you, Vicki? I don't mean to cut your wisdom.
Please.
This strong in Atlanta, I was having a deep conversation with some brothers of mine, and we were talking about the power of branding, right? And we came to the conclusion that there's no person on the planet that masters branding other than the Black woman. The Black woman is far and foremost the master at branding. If she says that you lit, if she says that you hot, if she says that you doing the work, if she says that you are a star, then Lord knows there's nothing that could really stop that. It's until she says other than that. There's Becky can't brand us, right? The Beckys of the world. No offense to Beckwith out there, you know. No offense to Donna Karen and all of y'all, but and I no offense to any other mothers out there, and I'm not taking anything away from the power of the divine feminine. However, I am just using common sense to point out something that we should be able to see from a common sense standpoint, from a layman's terms, that there's no one on this planet that is a master at branding than our women. When they went into corporate America, that's when Fortune 500 companies began to explode and expand. And you saw these windfalls of money being made and whatnot. They branded them every single morning that they woke up and told their child, this is the man that I'm going to work for. This is the job that I'm going to work for. This is the corporation that feeds you and whatnot. When y'all say that a certain lipstick is popping, a certain hair gel is popping, a certain brand designer is popping, and then even for the men, that when we put on certain things, it's only because when we put it on, y'all gave us the nod of approval. So we said, yeah, we said Gucci did Gucci, Louis, Fendi. You know what I mean? Because if the sisters don't approve of it, it's not flying. So whenever one of the goddesses, whenever somebody that I look up to, has the audacity to brand us, I feel like this is what success looks like. This is what it really is about, because I'm not looking for any type of certifications outside of self. However, I will receive, when it's given and whatnot.
Yes,
and by you saying what you said, I really do appreciate that. I appreciate that somebody notices and we're being seen and whatnot.
Indeed. It's my privilege, and it's the truth. It's the truth. Talk Black to me.
No doubt.
Indeed.
Yes,
sir.
Thank you for that level of acknowledgement. And you know, what both of you saying is very deep, and it has me thinking on a different level. And because I'm always in my mind attempting to figure out when did things shift, right? Because as quote unquote thought leaders, we're tasked with providing commentary, insight, vision, and direction for people to get back to their center self.
Yes, sir.
Um, and I'm like, all right, so when did this, you know, when did we bear a left? You know what I'm saying? When did
Mm,
things change? And I start thinking about the separation of the melanated family,
mm,
right? And there's different dynamics to let to that. You know, we've all heard the stories, but when Big Mama started looking at Big Papa,
mm,
right? Like he was that guy.
mm,
When she started questioning his, not so much his relevance, but his logic, right? His decision making. Like, why would you
mm,
do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know who I am and what I do for you.
mm.
When that schism started taking place and she started becoming somewhat undifferentiated with the way that she watched and saw not only how he was revering himself, but how he revered himself is always indicative of how he revered her.
Mhm.
So
Mm, mm.
when you take that energy and you scatter it, or when you show up and you're not complete or
Come on.
somewhat weak, you know what I'm saying? Or now you're giving the most powerful
Mm,
assignment in that household is not necessarily what goes on that table, but who's responsible for putting on that table or bringing in those ingredients. The mama know what to do with them when she get them and she makes a meal, right?
yes.
Daddy buy groceries, mama makes a meal, and
Mhm.
you can't have one without the other. It's a dynamic in that. But they
Right.
say that whoever feeds you ultimately is your God.
Mm.
So
Come
when
on.
we were responsible for our production, when we were responsible for, you know, going out and fending for self and, you know what I'm saying, getting that food to bring back into the household, she
Yes.
was very open and receptive. She produced. She's like, I'm gonna give you as many babies as you could feed.
Come on.
And then we had to migrate and we went Midwest, we went to the north, we went to other regions, and then now we're locked into uh, you know, a different type of labor force where
Mm.
somebody who don't look like us got to cut us a check every week or every 2 weeks.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And again, she's looking at us and saying, okay, I see a man, but this man has his hand, you know, there's another man, quote unquote, who's really a boy, but he's coming into this dynamic and now he's in charge of my household because if that check don't come, right,
We
we
don't
don't.
eat.
Mm. Mm.
And he's gonna take that frustration out more than likely on myself,
Mm.
these children, or himself,
Mm.
which ultimately is gonna affect the family, you know. And
Mm.
then this particular dynamic that we've observed, she loses a level of respect
Mm.
for him,
Mm.
he loses respect for himself,
Mm.
you know what I'm saying? And then they're able to somehow, you know, then two people who are not respecting themselves are able to meet on a very disrespectful plane, and
Mm.
reality or dimensionality that we see today where there's so much disrespectful energy going into coupling to create what? More
Mm.
dysfunction,
Right.
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
So we're left with that today.
Mm.
Um, so when you make statements like that to say, I observe you brothers,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying, and I recognize the work that you are doing that goes unrecognized and unwarranted.
Mm.
But you know, I see it,
Yes.
that means a lot, you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Because it's a restorative acknowledgement, you know, about where it is that we can possibly get to where we need to get to, you know what
Mm.
I'm saying? How you get there is by doing the work.
Come
Um,
on.
and for whatever reason, people want to, you know, they want to skip that step altogether.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, just because I got X and Y chromosomes, I deserve to be revered and seen. And it's like we see you for your potential,
Mm. Mm. Mm.
right?
Mm. Mm.
Now, like you got to turn that potential into actual points that you put on the board.
Ashe.
So
Ashe. Indeed. Indeed. And the thing is, I said this to one of my other brothers, and I rarely say this really to anybody, to be honest with you. I said this to another brother who was a powerful magician. I said, you're hidden in plain sight. I see that similarly with you all, especially what's going on in our world. It's not just your perspective and what you say, and that's extraordinarily important to what you contribute, but it's so much more than that. People don't know we're sitting here with folks that y'all are inventors. This is crazy. I'll take your products. Talk black to me.
That's right.
you do music. You see, you do mind stuff. You know what I'm saying? You talk about NASA and aliens and hip hop and the White House. And who does that? You feel me? So this is so juicy. And I'll stop there, but that's just, a part of it. That's just part of it. So indeed.
Definitely.
And to be strange and different, notwithstanding, the broad way, what a majority or a lot of other folks, are doing.
Yes.
So we appreciate that. And then to me, I feel like you're actually holding together a lot of our world and culture.
Hold on.
To this day.
Seriously.
To this day.
No, seriously.
I felt that, like the young people say. I felt that.
Okay.
Yeah, when you said that, I felt that.
So I'll leave that alone, then I won't go further.
Right. Thank you. Definitely.
Thank you.
Appreciate that,
Indeed.
And that means a lot coming from you as well.
Thank you.
So I want to ask the first question of our interview. I want to know, that we know that your mission and your purpose is to help other people get on their mission and their purpose. And you even named your website onpurposewithvicky.com. So my question to you is, how did Vicky get on purpose? We want to know.
Vicky got on purpose. I'll just say this. A general definition of the word purpose is the reason for which a thing exists. Yes?
Yes.
On purpose, the reason for which a thing exists. I've been on purpose since my first breath. And I'll say this, when we are coming through our mother's womb, yes, we don't understand that many of us are conscious that we had a contract to come to this earth realm to uplift it and to elevate and increase the frequency of the earth. And proof of my contract with earth were the contractions of my mother.
Right.
You see the word contract in contractions. So when I broke through, I was already on purpose, you see? In fact, there's a text that says, before you were even in your mother's womb, Spirit told Jeremiah, I knew you. You were in a different frequency. You were in a different state, which that's the original state anyway of what we call our ancestors in my upcoming Ancestral 3 webinar in the first place. So I've been on purpose, honestly. As soon as I broke through, the contract was official. When the blood started to flow from my mother's hymen area, you see, that contract was enforced. The contractions was the contract. And so that's what I would say concerning how long I've been on purpose. Why are you laughing, Blue Pillar?
You know why. You know why? Because my dream is to do a traveling ministries with you, because I love your, like you said, when you speak, it's poetry. You know what I'm saying? I'm very much impacted by the passion that you put into your word selection, the way that you deliver it, because I'm a visual listener. Right. I'm everything with me is imagery. So when I'm listening to somebody, I'm painting entire tapestries in my mind of what's being said. So you feed that, you know what I'm saying, in different layers, I love the fact that you incorporate, when people enter into what we know as spirituality, they make often they feel that they gotta put something down and pick something up.
Come on,
You know
ooh, say that again. Put that,
Mhm.
say that part, just that one right there. One more time, real quick, before you say the next sentence, please.
they feel like they gotta put something down and pick something up,
Come on now.
without fully integrating what they've already been quote unquote coupled with. You
Mm, mm.
So I could take a shirt off and use it to tie something on my arm if I have to. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to discard the shirt
That's
altogether.
yes.
We don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Come on.
So I know and recognize that a lot of us come from religious backgrounds,
Mm,
and what I do also know is that everything about religion is not quote unquote bad. Everything about religion is not to be thrown away. It's foundational for a reason,
come on.
because it lets foundation, there's precepts there that you will find in all religions and all quote unquote spiritual systems
Uh,
that's consistent with what you find, or so what you find in the Eastern spiritual systems is
yes.
consistent with some of the very things that you find in Western spirituality, right? Foundation
Absolutely.
wise. So you still evoke that, in your presentation, in
Okay.
your dissertations, and your approach towards connecting with people where they're at.
Mm,
People who have been raised in Christianity or religion per se, that's not something that you can just remove from your system
mm,
overnight. You know what I
mm-hmm.
mean? So what if a person just makes a minor adjustment and a minor
Come
tweak
on.
rather than
Ooh.
180 degrees or 360? Because that takes a lot of energy.
Yes,
Right.
yes,
If,
yes,
if I just tweak this over there and make a 2 or 3 degree change and replace this word with that word or this concept with this,
yes, yes,
maybe I'll be able to get on purpose that much quicker. And that
yes.
perspective,
Ooh. Man, you preaching now, and I don't know if they ready for that tour, brother, but they better get ready. They better get ready. But I'll say this, you know, it's the subtleties. When I was doing my spiritual courses, my monthly spiritual
yes.
course, some of my students, we discussed this concept of it's the subtleties, the almost, watch this, the almost imperceptible things that makes the biggest differences.
Right.
And so
Absolutely.
people skip that, you see. So when I started doing my spiritual courses, and I'm not officially maybe initiated in this particular spiritual system, I'm not, Reverend so and so, Bishop this, Imam that, and so forth. Um, what I understood was that I respected our spiritual systems and their particular protocols, but I understood that it's the subtle, it's the slight things, and the slight thing, I think that makes me effective in my particular call and contract with Earth is that not only how I've come to know stuff I don't know, I know stuff that I don't know, but I am really, 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 really good. I'm a master at surrendering to spirit. I'm good. I'm real good at that. So
Right.
even if spirit got me looking strange, you see what I'm saying? And before I go in the room, I don't even know what I'm getting ready to say or do. You feel me? Spirit trusts me that if I tell her to bang on that gavel and she's going to release a certain frequency, or if she says something or does something she's willing to look quote unquote foolish, you see? And the way the energy comes on me, I'm willing to give myself to the energy. And that's really my university. That's my school. And through just simply cooperating, watch this, without having to know everything at first, as I'm moving, I come to know everything. You see, there are some things in spirituality that you assume first. You don't try to figure it out first. You see, you
Okay.
just give yourself to a portion of
Mm-hmm.
it, you see, and it'll move you and it'll teach you in a
So
certain way as you move. And you start to know stuff you didn't know. You'll see stuff, but you don't, it's not about figuring everything out, and
Right.
at first. Does that make
Logic.
yeah, I have a saying that you know puts that in perspective, and it's called "the magic is in the momentum."
mm, woo? Ashe.
The magic is in the momentum, meaning that what you're looking for is looking for you,
Come
right?
on.
But how would you ever find it if you're not in motion towards that thing, even if you initially don't know what it is? But
Indeed.
in your movement and in your walk, when you pick up momentum, right? You can only fly by going like this. You can't fly just by thinking about taking flight.
Come
You
on.
have to gather momentum, and then the wind beneath your wings is going to help you take flight. But you already have to be garnering that level of momentum.
Charge.
Charge.
Right.
Powerful. Powerful.
So in our what's called our human design, right? There's a science of how our actual bodies were formulated when we came onto this planet. Our human design, or mine, let me speak for mine specifically, because I don't know if this is indicative of Reds as well. I have a open center. I have an open crystal. So there's a human design crystal, there's a personality crystal, and a physical design crystal. My open crystal means that I get downloads. I don't always know what I'm gonna say. And when I say what I'm saying, I don't always necessarily, because it wasn't thought about.
Right.
I'm freestyling without freestyling.
Yes.
And when I say it, that's when I understand it once it's said.
Right.
I don't know what I'm gonna say before I say it. So I don't have pre-prepared speeches or none of that stuff.
Powerful.
I'll go in to do a whole keynote
Powerful.
with no notes.
Powerful.
Right. And if I allow myself to be a vessel, right, I'm not attempting to finesse people and come up with slick things to say. I'm just presenting myself as a vessel that spirit can now speak through, and everything connects and hits with, people in the audience that they like. I feel like that was for me because it was for you.
Because it was. Ashe.
Because it was.
Well, it's interesting because lo, I come in the volume of a book that's written. That's Psalm 40, I think, something like that, and it's quoted somewhere else in what we call the New Testament, the New Covenant. Lo, I come. This Christ said that. Lo, I come in the volume of a book. Another text says, a body thou hast prepared for me. We understand, and you all can break this down even better than me, the DNA, the RNA. We know that these are simply instructions, are they not? Inside of our genes and our cells. So we are the book.
Yes.
But they didn't tell us, they told us that the gene determines the color of your eyes and hair, but they didn't tell us about our spiritual power and that vibration and frequency that also comes, you see, in our royal bloodline, which is what I connect with this notion of the ancestors. Yes. So you are the book.
Yes.
You are the book. And so oftentimes we don't need quote unquote notes in the pages because we're the walking, moving book. And I understand that because we're so used and trained, of course, and conditioned and programmed to seek everything and look outside of ourselves. On my show, I make up words. Yes. And we call it the Victionary.
Victionary. That's right. I'm familiar.
So one of my supporters, that kept hearing me say, this is not from the dictionary. This is not from. So he said, that's right. It's the Victionary. So I said, okay, we're going to call it the Victionary. Then I said, that's my book of words. And so why do we come up with that? I have so many different sayings. And even though these are not things that we're quote unquote taught in school, people know what I'm saying when I say it, even if I just made it up. You feel what I'm saying?
That's right.
Sometimes I intentionally say words that we were trained to say a certain way. I intentionally say them quote unquote wrong because you understand when they teach us how to spell in school, the powers that shouldn't be often teach us to spell correctly because they understand that words have a vibration and an energy so that you don't tap into this other power. They make sure you spell it correctly so that you don't tap into these other vibrations. So sometimes I might just speak in tongues. I might just speak in a tone and a sound that sounds strange and unfamiliar and foreign. But on the inside, I know it's releasing power and change and breakthrough and miracles and signs and wonders. And I'm not sticking within how they taught me to spell. You see?
One of the one of the telltale signs that you're breaking out of the spell is when you break out of spelling, right? People have a lot of critiques about Ebonics and the way that, you know, certain people spell words that are spelled with C. Now the youth are spelling it with K. You know what I mean? The Nubians are notorious for saying I with EYE.
Come on.
You know,
help us.
and there are words that our people in certain regions of the United States of America, they pronounce words in their own tongues, in their own way. They kind of stretch these words and bend it. However, when we come to find out that the English that we speak in the United States of America is a bastardized version of the English language,
Exactly.
and they did not teach us etymology in school. We did not learn the true root. They taught us, they went to the roots and everything, synonyms and all of that, antonym, but they didn't teach us etymology.
Come on.
They didn't teach us the science of these letters and these words.
Beautiful.
So we now are repurposing. This is what hip hop did as a culture. They took the words, they repurposed them, they gave them new meaning. Therefore, they are new creators on this planet, right? So now you creating your own version of, you know, the human language and whatnot. Your latest iteration, you know what I mean? They're creating languages every day. They have a computer language that's running the world.
Come on.
That works off of zeros and ones, and other computer languages, Python, CSS, all of these things.
Yes.
So we have the right.
Come on.
We have the right. We should have the audacity to begin to twist these words around and to give it its own meaning, its own feeling, and its own interpretation.
Y'all feel that? I hope the audience is feeling this. I feel it on my shoulder.
Like you said, you know, even being born with a strange tongue, right? I mean, like, is it our fault if some DNA comes through and kicks in and says, "Now I want to bend. I want to speak this word in pidgin." You know what I'm saying? I want to speak this word. You know, because our Gullah Geechee family, they take the language and do something different with it. Yeah. When you think about us diasporically, well, let's just talk about here in the continental United States. They say melanated people are broken to 13 regions. All of these regions are separated by dialect.
By dialect. That's what separates it.
Different in all of these different places, right? And that's what makes us who we are, a unique, quote unquote, you know, conglomeration of species, you know, balled into, we pulling a little bit of this, right? We speaking Pig Latin, we speaking Spanglish, you know what I'm saying? We speaking Patois, you know what I mean? We got the down Creole. South, we speaking Creole, we speaking Pidgin, you feel me? And then we got hip hop, then we got slang.
Come on.
Yeah, so then you speaking Zone 6. Yeah, you know what I mean? You speaking Memphis slang, Memphis twang. Right. You speaking New Orleans, Wardy. You know what I mean? They was in Brooklyn calling them Wardies.
We was in music, yeah. We was calling them Wardies by way of the music. Now we're being introduced to Afrobeat, right? And we're learning different twangs. Oh, this is what they sound like if they from Ghana. This is what the Indian family sound like. Oh, this was the dialect of the Afrikaners out of South Africa. So we're being introduced to all of these tongues and what have you.
You said 13 dialects. You know about the number 13 and about the whole notion of the lunar cycle, yes. And we're dealing with the technically, if we're moving with the rhythm of creation, which actually gives us more power when we reverence the particular moon cycles, and we know that the moon cycle is 28 days, yes. And when we say 13 times 28, we get 364. There's a power, there's a rhythm when we move with the moon cycles. And of course, the divine feminine woman and our cycle and so many other things connects us. Our cycles connect with the moon, and there are other esoteric things that are locked in there as well. But anyway, that number 13 came to mind when you said that, even when you spoke concerning the dialect. And I'll say this, in my last webinar, y'all getting some juice from my secret womb webinar that I did some weeks ago. I showed them a picture, and a few people were circulating this. I showed them a picture of what a vocal cord looks like.
Yes.
And how the vocal cord looks almost exactly like the yoni.
Yes, indeed. I've seen that.
You see that 13? Yeah. And we're talking about the dialect, and then the divine feminine, our yoni our cycles in that 13, because both places create, you see.
Right.
There's
And
more to that, but I'm gonna leave that alone.
the dialect is connected to the diaphragm.
Come on, but don't play with it.
Uh,
Don't play
and
with it.
power of life and death is in the tongue. So
And the what?
in the tongue,
Come on.
That's
And what
right.
about the womb and stuff?
right? So it would have to look like the yoni because you are actually giving birth,
When you speak out words.
right? From this particular this vocal cord, this box, this resonating tones and frequencies. And if we can see, because I was doing an interview, shout out to 19 Keys. He said that he's gonna drop the interview that we did.
Wait a minute, shout out to that revelation, how he just connected it. None of this is, we weren't talking about none of this when we got on here, family. Talk black to me.
That's
but go
right.
ahead, brother. 19 Keys.
He asked me, he said, can you define the spiritual realm? And I said, bro, the spiritual realm is the magnetic frequency that we can't observe with the physical eye. So if my observation is only of, let's say 15 or 20% of reality, it's shorter than that. I said, everything that I can see is the spiritual realm. You feel me? It's not that deep. So I said, if we can look, if we could see spirit, if we could see, because spirit is breath, and we know that breath is life and spirit is life as well, right? Yes. And all of these things are coming by way of the fluctuation of these chords. The string of these particular chords are creating vibratory frequency, but the words that I'm speaking are creating worlds.
Come on now. Come on now.
To this day.
Come on now.
To this day.
I'm gonna give you a dualistic approach to understanding how words are worlds. Matter of fact, I'm gonna give you a trinary aspect of how it is. First, because letters are energy, right? Letters are energy signatures, right? They represent signs, they represent shapes, they represent colors, and they represent coordinates, right?
Yes, indeed.
But words, if letters are energy, then words are synergy. Because now these two shapes or three or four shapes are getting together and they are synergizing and creating a whole new structure, right? A whole new physical structure. And when I'm saying physical, think about it on an ethereal level. You can't physically see it, but it's still a shape.
That's right.
Right? But when I'm now evoking, like I said, when you are evoking and I'm visual, you're utilizing words, but I'm picturing physical pictures.
I see.
So that's a world, because my imagination can elaborate on reading a book, like you said, that we are books, right?
Yes.
Each one of us are volumes and volumes. We're not just a novel.
Come on.
We're a whole library.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if I can run through them books and I can read these books and knock these books down, the imagination shit. If I read Jurassic Park as a book, mentally I'm going to transport myself to a whole, you know what I'm saying, visual
to that world,
to that whole world. So
beautiful.
Words are worlds in a lot of different aspects. And again, as you know, we use these concepts, but very rarely do we explain them to make them practical.
Yes.
And I appreciate you for your practicality, you know what I'm saying? But you also are allowing people access to the imaginative realm. So it's a very deliberate balance of masculine and feminine energy.
Yes.
You know, and you yourself represent a breath of fresh air for femininity. You know, I'm sure I'm not the only one that says that. Your audience feels the same way. And I thought Vicki Dillard was 6 feet plus.
You thought I was 6 feet plus.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I'm just saying you have that big of a presence, have that strong of a resonance, right? Your footprint is that large. I didn't know that you were, not 6 feet.
Not 6 feet. But they say I'm tall to be a woman. They tell me 5'7". So
that's tall.
Yeah.
Let's be clear. We know that you're a giant. You know what I'm saying?
I say.
once again, in the physical form. And
Yes,
I
sir.
think a lot of what your work does for me when I listen to it is it reminds people that we're not just physical beings. And then, even as physical beings, the grander scheme of things is that we did contract to be here.
Come
We
on.
do have a soul assignment,
Come
you know what
on.
I'm saying? And everything is on purpose.
Indeed.
So yes, you know,
When you said about the magic being in the momentum, that really honestly sums up my journey thus far, because there are so many times from when I was a young girl to a full grown woman who was married at the time. Um, it didn't matter where I was in life or what state I was in or what circumstance I was in. Um, it was normal for me to be rejected from whatever particular systems that I was within proximity to at the time and desired to be. I was not that one that was chosen to be a part, let alone quote unquote lead. And so, as an adult woman, some years ago, I wanted to increase my meditation and prayer time because it had been a long time and I was feeling called from the inside out to go deeper with intentionality spiritually. And so the spiritual system I was a part of at the time was actually the Orthodox Church. A lot of folks don't know I'm charismated out of the Orthodox Church. I've been a part of a lot of different spiritual systems, but that too is a part of my journey.
The
And
journey, right?
so they didn't want me. I was trying to just be somewhere in the building. I could be the janitor, sweep the floor, pay whatever you want. I just want to just round them outside. So I can hear through the window. And so, without getting into too much detail, I was completely and totally rejected. So much so that the leader apologized because there was an elevation he wanted to give me, an inclusion he wanted to give me. And his wife stood up in the meeting and said over her dead body. She literally said that before she would allow me to uh, uh, be in this particular position that her husband, who was the leader of this particular organization, wanted to elevate me to. And so other groups they had and subgroups, I was not allowed to be a part. So my mother, before she moved with me in Colorado, I'm born and raised in Mississippi. I'm a Southern girl. Mom was still in Mississippi. So before mom moved here around Katrina time, I cried. I was calling her and I was telling her all the stuff was going on. I just wanted to be a part. I just wanted to train me, teach me. I wanted to know how did they move spiritually like that, blah, blah, blah. And my mother, who was nothing like me, was deeply moved by the spirit, whether she knew it or not in that moment, because that was an extraordinary turning point in my life when she said these words after I was crying and all that. She said, maybe God wants to teach you himself.
That's deep.
I was trying to force myself and establish certain systems, and those systems were rejecting me. And she said, maybe God wants to teach you him, y'all.
That's that mama wisdom right there.
Come on now. And she don't know how profound she is. You feel me?
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? She doesn't know how profound. That was a turn. Maybe God wants to teach. So I started getting up early in the crack of dawn. And look, I was downloaded and programmed subconsciously with so many thoughts of darkness because it was still dark when I was getting up. I made one of our bedrooms at the time into my meditation room. And I was thinking something about to come in there. So yeah, I was up and look with the door cracked and the light on. Before I start doing, because I ain't know something was going on. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
Was a holy presence in the silence, in the darkness. And so it was so strange. And I kept doing it day after day. Guess what Spirit said to me from the inside out? In the room by myself. Guess what Spirit said?
Turn that light out.
I don't glow in the dark.
Right.
Spirit said from the inside out, I don't glow in the dark. And that was after me doing this for a few days. And so after that, it was over with. Just in that moment, Spirit, something in me said, I don't glow in the dark. So I was like, oh, okay. And so I just started doing stuff. I started doing these prayers. I started doing certain confessions I was doing. I just made up something. And then something happened. I frequented this invisible space. I set some intentions. The magic is in the momentum. I just started to do something consistently. So I frequented this place. And over time, I learned that I actually set a spiritual frequency. I created a highway where I was in connection with this other world, and stuff started to happen. Maybe God wants to teach you himself. And I share a few sacred encounters that I had with my audience. I don't share them all because I haven't been released to, but I'll share this one strange but subtle thing that happened to me. And this is what took me on this journey of angels, messengers, and ancestors. Before I lost all of our real estate homes, we never were real estate agents or brokers or nothing. I wasn't no professional. I bought homes and rented them out. And at the time, and we were end up getting ready to lose everything. It was during the 2008 crash time frame, 2007. Right. This was before 2008 technically. And so I was engaging with banks and Wall Street and stuff like that, and a lot of shady stuff that was going on with brokers and all kind of stuff that was going on. A lot of stuff I was learning as I went. So I was fighting back in court civilly. There was a lot of stuff I didn't understand, but I wasn't just going to give up this stuff because it was stuff going on I didn't understand. I'm like, no, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do financially. I'm fixing to fight this. So it started my civil journey in court with multiple houses, multiple counties. Didn't know what I was doing, wasn't trained, was losing money. And the attorneys that I dealt with told me that some of the people I was going to be going after, they feared. And so they wouldn't represent me. And others wanted so much money. I didn't have the money at the time. And those who were willing to work with me and thought it was a viable case, didn't want to touch the people I would be litigating against.
Right.
So I said to myself, I'm the book. So you telling me if I can't buy justice, I can't get justice? Telling me that's just it? I can't afford it. No, I'm going to do something myself. So I started representing myself as what's known as pro se. Did as much research as I could, but it was only limited knowledge I could get because I was under time constraints in each of these civil cases. Watch this. In preparation for a federal case that I brought against that involved some judges, and the attorneys general was sitting in federal court right across from me. I was before a magistrate judge by myself with a whole bunch of Beckys and Chucks to the right of me representing the particular judges that I end up suing. That's a whole other situation. And some Wall Street entities and some stuff. Other entities. I'm trying to be quick with this. Before I went to court, I was in my office and a voice outside of me said the word abeyance. A voice outside of me. It didn't come from inside. It was a voice outside of me. I heard it in my ear. I want to say I heard it in my left ear. Outside of me said the word abeyance. Now, I love words, but I didn't regularly use the word abeyance in my
abeyance.
Abeyance, yes, sir.
Abeyance. Okay.
Yes, abeyance. I'm gonna pull up the ABEYANCE. Abeyance. The definition is a state of temporary disuse or suspension. Now, what I'm saying don't seem like it's powerful right now, but watch this. The next definition, if you pull it up on Google, it says law definition. Don't play with it. What did I tell you? I was getting ready to go to what? Court.
Right.
Yes, federal court. The second definition is a law definition, the position of being without or of waiting for an owner or claimant. That voice said abeyance. I got the definition. Days later, went to court. Before the end of the hearing, the judge says, Miss Dillard, do you know what the word abeyance is?
To this day. To this day.
That's all you needed. Yeah, that was it.
Watch this. When I gave the definition, he says, technically, yeah, that's a way of watch this. Watch this. Yes. you're very intelligent. You're this and clearly you're that. Watch this. A voice outside of me said that, you see. It was a messenger. Your DNA and your RNA, don't they tell us with the RNA, they call that a messenger something or other? Yes. And then the word messenger is also another word that we use for the word angel when you do the etymology of the word angel, especially if you particularly look it up in the concordance with the Greek translation in scripture and even with the Hebrew translation, you will see that it really refers to a messenger. Yes. So this was actually my spiritual court that was giving me the heads up, that knew just by me knowing that particular word in that moment, what that did for me in that particular legal case and how I was being seen by the attorneys generals and the others that I named in that particular lawsuit. So I'm saying that seems simple, but it was extraordinarily profound. And those incidents happened to me over and over and over and over and over again. But I just did something spiritually, and I just kept doing something. You see, I was consistent with it, and then I came to know about some of these other energies and this supernatural shadow government that moved with me. So some of the drama, when people say, well, Vicki, why does CNN care about you? MSNBC care about you? Why do these celebrities, little old nobody, Vicki, that use a laptop and a cell phone? Why is White House officials blocking you? What they don't understand is I learned that it's my court. It's my invisible court. They're the ones that help to stir up stuff. You see, when I go on the scene, they're agitating stuff in those particular.
To this day.
Come on now.
To this day.
That's the sacred secret.
Right.
My Ancestors webinar is about us tapping into this shadow government, this familiar frequency, which is our invisible family. Watch this, that stands at the ready to assist us. It's a power that gives us power outside of the systems and the governments of the present world. You see? So when they tell us the only power we have is to vote or to get your literal master's degree, yes, your master's degree, you can only make money, Vicki, when you're diagnosed with a serious auto illness related to one of your organs and the doctors have given up on you. Just take this out and we're trying to prevent you, as they would tell me, from getting cancer. Watch this. That's it. These medicines were helping to kill me.
Right.
The steroids were blowing me up. The biologics are the ones that gave me a lung infection. The biologics are the one that infected one of my other organs. The biologics gave me a hip infection. I couldn't walk. Those things they gave me made me sicker. I had skin problems, hair problems, all these different things, hormonal problems. Yes. Too many things I can't even name. So this is it. There's another power, there's another energy, there's another force. And so when we invoke the ancestors, especially amongst the religious folks, watch this, watch this, watch this. I got a message the other day. A lady did, I won't say her name. I got so many testimonies. I wasn't pressed about this one. No disrespect. You'll see why I'm saying it like that. I'm a miracle worker, fool. That's my contract with Earth. That's what we do. So this is what she did. She got a $20,000 breakthrough, did a video testimony crediting my teachings. Watch this, watch this, watch this. And then she sends a message not to use her testimony. Watch this. Sister girl, I know you just got married to Reverend Deacon somebody from New Prospect Missionary Baptist Church. And so my teachings now, you're calling me a sorceress or a witch and stuff. So now that you were Reverend Deacon, you can't credit now. You see, God, today, this strange woman that's invoking the ancestors. I'm going to tell you what Spirit told me, and it's not just her. There are others. They tell us it's demonic. To ancestors. And I'm telling my people, who told you that? your brother and sister in Christ whose religion you share, but chopped off the penis of your father, raped your mother? That one that you don't call a devil, are they telling you that so that you don't tap into this supernatural power, this shadow government, this familiar frequency that has the power to bring to bear a new reality upon the world that you're in right now? Are they telling you that to keep you powerless? This is what the Ancestors webinar is about. So I erected an altar, ALTAR. Yes? I'm going to drop another secret that only I gave to my previous attendants. Your ALTAR altar, which is your sacred desk. What do you do at a desk? Business goes down at a desk.
Work.
Come on now. Your spiritual business goes down at your altar. Watch this. Your altar, ALTAR, will alter, ALTER, your life.
Whew.
Yes, sir. I'll say this and I'll hush. I don't know nothing about other spiritual systems. I bow to them. I respect them. I honor them. A lot of different ones came against me when hundreds of people from 14 countries attended my last Ancestral webinar, including the United States. Hell, I was shocked. Watch this. Watch this. So I don't know too much about that, you see. But the way Spirit gave it to me, because I went inside to I'm the book. So I just Google you. I'm finna Google. I'm the Google. Yes. I go in my search engine. You see, that's what meditation is. So when we tap into our own search engines. Yes. Watch this. Because I didn't read this in the book. So Spirit said, your altar, Vicky, is that internet box that your Comcast people put in your house. Don't play with it. Why I need watch this. Without that box, are you able to get internet? Without that box, you don't think it's strange that this item in your home causes you to tap into other communications? No, you're able to see channels and other stuff on cable and all this, right? So your altar intensifies this frequency. It pulls in divine communication, you see? So I'm going to go further and not just dealing with those types of gems, not just your terrestrial or earthbound lineage, which I don't know nothing but the 2-3 things they tell me. I just know it's power that come with it. But they're now telling me, I want you to talk about your celestial lineage. And when this supernatural member of my family met me, I want to teach my students how that happened. And that particular knowledge they gave me that helped to carry me through this federal case and gave me the heads up on what was getting ready to come into my life and where I am now and what it has to do with my purpose. And when they told me I couldn't work, and when they told me my body wouldn't do what it was supposed to do, and I couldn't even work a regular job before I was at the Home Depot coming out of prison. Before that, I worked at Wendy's because that was the jobs I qualified for. I couldn't work. So how do I make money? Because you all told me the way I make money is to do what? Work hard, which that's all I know. I've been working since I could work. 10 years old as a babysitter. And before that, my first job at Taco Bell, before it was even legal for me to work at Taco Bell, my mom was applying for me to get a work permit because I wasn't even of legal age at the time in Mississippi. Watch this. So what do you do when you can't work hard, y'all? You said that's how we get money, yes? What happens when your body doesn't do what you tell it to do? That's what made me tap into the secret money in your room, where I started teaching that. And supernatural resources came, and I was able to attract money whether I worked for it or not. But there's also supernatural resources, supernatural insight, and other types of powers that comes with the shadow government that's ours, that will give us the necessary strength to overcome even white supremacy, not just poverty, not just white supremacy, not just all of the other difficulties that we're dealing with. Watch this, but the creative and innovative energies, you see? Not just the survival stuff.
Right.
They've given me creations. I can't wait till my project with my brother Terrain that's coming out. I downloaded that project, called him up, asked him, can he do this? That project that's coming out later is something I ain't never seen before.
Shout out to Terrain.
Yes, sir.
Salute.
Another project I got coming. These are weird, strange things that I come up with.
Mm-hmm.
This weird, this strange, but that's my sweet spot. So I don't just talk about white supremacy and difficulty. Spirit gives us witty ideas and creative inventions. You see?
That's right.
That's what this
right.
energy does. And so that's what I want to discuss. But it's celestial because our bodies aren't just made up of earth stuff. That's good. That's great. That's glorious. In fact, it's heaven. But there's another type of power that we could use to benefit this earth experience. But this celestial energy, they work with the terrestrial ancestral energy. God, today. And I want to get into it. And I'll hush now. I'll be quiet now. I've been talking nonstop. Please,
you good.
interject. Please interject.
Good, you good.
So, you know, when shout out to our brother Rich. I saw him tap in earlier.
Oh yes, I bow to my brother.
When we do quantum meditations on his channel and we tap into quantum mind, is what I call a cosmic covering. Right? And cosmic covering is utilizing the very things that you're speaking of. When I close my eyes and I envision, you know, I see legions, I see battalions, you know what I'm saying, of trillions of light being ancestors that are at our beck and call and willing to do our service. But
I feel the energy on my back as you talk. I feel the energy on my back.
Command, right? Because they are latent, subtle energies. It's almost like they represent potentiality. You have to utilize them, give them an assignment, just like a spirit. You direct it to do your bidding, not the other way around.
Right.
Are y'all hearing? Let me tell you what they showed me. They laugh at me when I teach this. What did you just say? The last part about tapping into them. You have to what? Utilize them. You know what Spirit told me to tell?
Right.
Did you just say that?
Yes.
Spirit, you know what Spirit told me? Y'all been ready for this. I've learned the subtle differences between my ancestor messengers and the angel messengers, and I don't give no big definition for it. I just know them, just like I know the difference between my cousin and my sister. You feel me? But you can only know it once you tap in. So when people ask these questions, you asking questions out of order. There are some questions where people ask me, I make no attempt to answer. You see? Watch this. Watch this. Spirit showed me. He said that I know that there are angels that belong and are assigned to other people that want to work with me. God, today. I said some of your angels got diabetes, high blood pressure, and obese, need to go work out, baby, because you're not what? Utilizing. That's what you said? Yes? Those particular energies. So I needed them to imagine that their particular angelic court was out of shape, sickly, dang near deathly, because they have not been what? Utilized. And so when I was doing my second ancestor webinar, watch this. Some of my students from 14 different countries, ancestors, came to me. Do you know, leading up to the ancestors webinar, when I went to my mailbox, I received numerous obituaries from other people. Y'all ain't hearing me. And I said, Ma, look at this strange stuff. So in the beginning of the webinar, I showed them the obituaries. And then before their ancestors webinar, I had a dream. And they gave me clarity. And some of the people that couldn't go, a celebrity sponsor, anonymous, contacted me, put up several $1,000s. So there were several dozen that attended my webinar free. But it wasn't that. It was their ancestors that paid.
Right.
It was their ancestors, the resources for them to attend to get this knowledge. So I'm saying that they are looking, they're seeking and searching for us to begin to activate and to tap into them. That's the only reason they were coming to me in the dream and through the obituaries to give a message to them, you see, because they're ready at the work, but they can only be activated when we do our particular part. And it's like this. I've gotten so many breakthroughs in my life. My life is absolutely miraculous, even with my tumultuous, hellish journey. I've been through multiple hells, multiple Gehennas.
Gehennas.
Multiple.
Which is hell.
So many to count. Yes, sir. Watch this. But I look back over that difficulty. I'm pretty extraordinary, bro. I'm something else. You hear me? I'm something. I'm something.
That's right.
Jesus, watch this.
That's right. You better tell it.
My health journey is a strange thing. And I've gotten some breakthroughs here and there. And I rejoice in every small victory I get. But what I've learned is that my contract with Earth, Vicki, how does this person, you have documented people that were raised from the dead, at least 2 or 3 documented, but you're still struggling with this illness? I'm connected in this contract where I can heal, but my connection, like with folks like you, also has to do with my breakthrough. You see, there's a certain dance that I have with mortals and immortals. And so just like people get supernatural breakthroughs through their connection with me, you know, Jesus said it like this: you will say to me, heal yourself, doctor. That's where I'm at with some of my breakthrough. We're divinely connected. So I know I have something for the people that will attend this. It's just my part. And by your attendance, you bless me. By your attendance, you heal me. And I'll say that and I'll be done.
Hey.
And that's a powerful position to take. You know what I'm saying? Especially, you know, when we show up for service. You know,
excuse me.
Service on this plane of existence is one that can be very taxing on the physical body, on the spiritual body, on the ethereal body, on the karmic self. You know, because there's a whole nother passage. I don't have my book with me right now, but it speaks about non-interference, right? God is like, what makes you think you as a healer can intercede with, you know what I'm saying, this situation I have over here that I might be running on this person that might be purely karmic. Right? So even as helpers and healers, you have to have discernment, because everybody's not to be helped nor healed.
Ashe.
Right.
Ashe.
Ashe to that.
Ashe.
You know what I'm saying? So you being in a state where, you know, you're calling upon and drawing upon these healing energies to intercede on your behalf, but still showing up for service on behalf of others. Like you said, it's a cosmic dance. You know what I mean?
Ashe.
It's a cosmic dance. So you always have to be in momentum for your magic to always.
Yes, indeed.
Right?
Indeed.
You can't afford to be stationary still or sedentary. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
You have to always be fluid in your work, in your motion. And it's something very honorable to watch, to observe.
I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
I want to know, your story and your whole journey is definitely a testimony. It's a testament, right? And you continuing to demonstrate what one can do when they're tapped into their higher calling. I just want to know, why do you think so many of our people shy away from using their intuition and following those ancestral taps on the shoulders and that the higher level guidance?
Such a good question. It's nothing more than what the text calls cares of life, and we know as distractions.
Right.
The constant upgrading of technology, where we have something always where in our ears.
Right.
Where we always have something before our eyes. Yes, these are gates. Yes.
Right. Even
and
our mouths.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
So these gates, exactly, our mouth, our eyes, our ears, these are powerful gates. And so we're constantly hearing the news, constantly hearing sounds and commentary and podcasts and everything outside of ourselves that get our attention and our life force. Yes. So we never go within to silence. We never go within the book. We never go into the secret place. This is a true occult realm. People don't like it when you use that word. It just simply means hidden. But Jesus was a master at talking about the occult realm in Matthew chapter 6, verse 6, when he said to go into your secret place, your closet. Right. He says, shut the door behind you. And the God who sees you in secret, watch this, will reward you openly. Woo! I never deviate from that text. I incorporate that text in almost every subject, topic, and revelation that I ever give. Go into your closet, your secret place, and the God who sees you in secret, one translation said, in the invisible God that sees you in the invisible will reward you visibly. So I have learned, this is a school I went to, the one that my mama said, maybe God wants to teach you himself.
That's right.
Taught me, stop making stuff happen on the outside. God, today, I mastered and am learning to master because I'm a student. Yes?
Yes.
I never stop learning. Yes. Never stop inquiring and being curious. Yes. Never stop playing with your magic. Yes.
Yes.
Never abandon the lab. I'm going to say this real quick as a side note. I honor our elders. I honor those that have a lot of knowledge. Watch this. Spirituality, metaphysics, science, all that. It's important, but it's just the first gestation stage of manifestation, if we'll use that word manifestation. If you don't have a lab to work that knowledge and that magic, I don't call you no real master. And that's just me. That's my stand. You can't just be a good explainer and articulator. You invented, somebody, gold water. Yes?
Yes.
You have businesses, do you not? Red pill, blue pill? Y'all see this? Do you have businesses, my brother, red pill?
Plenty of them. Yes, indeed.
Y'all are tapped into all kinds. You got to have a lab to work your magic, you see?
You do.
You got to have a lab. It can't just be head knowledge. It cannot just be speculative. It must be experiential. Your feet and your hands must be involved, even if you are doing it in fits and starts. Even if it don't look right, even if stuff's not spelled right, even if it's not quite coordinated right. When you're dealing with babies and dirt and play, they get messy. It's messy. You gotta just play with it first. You just gotta just do something, fool. You gotta bust a move. You gotta just do something. You gotta put something together and keep putting it and just do something
until it works.
That's right. And do something and keep doing something.
Yes.
So that is so. And I done got off on the point that I was supposed to be making. Y'all help me get back on what I'm saying.
Nah, you here? We were talking about
the necessity for one to have a laboratory.
Yes.
And the whole aspect. What I tell people. It can't just be a name alone. Right? Yes. You can't just be God and a name alone. Yeah.
Yes.
Like,
we were talking about people
with no substance. Like
that's right.
The journey, that was the question
about people shying away from using their intuition and following them taps on the shoulder.
That's it. And the distractions around you. So let me tell you, you have to go into the closet. You have to be still and simply focus on you. You are a book. You are a powerhouse. You are you are electricity. You are electromagnetic. You are the stuff of creation. But you have not discovered yourself. Know thyself. What channel are we on? Oh God,
Know
today.
the ledge.
You,
Hold
come
on
on
now.
now. You have not known yourself. You have not studied yourself because we've been conditioned and programmed to what? Listen, seek outside of ourselves and the distractions of the world. Watch this. I made a decision to go into the closet and be still. And I discovered some stuff about myself. Watch this. And this is a strange part of my story. Spirit took me to a deeper closet in a federal prison.
A walk-in closet.
For almost 4 years. Looking at 20 years, and they gave me 60 months. I did another 6 months in a halfway house in Colorado, fighting the injustice, went through the trial, went through all kinds of stuff, had all kinds of illegalities, had all kind of fraud involved in the evidence that they used, had all kinds of stuff, and I wasn't getting breakthrough nowhere. So I was locked up in a women's prison facility on a military base in Texas. But sometimes treasures are locked up. Yes.
That's right.
For a particular time.
In the treasure chest.
In the treasure chest.
And treasures are usually hidden too. You can't put treasures are usually hidden. Gotta hide it.
Strange journey. Yes. But they tell me when I can get my underwear and how many.
Right.
They tell me when to get up, when to go to bed.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So how do I pray now? How do I meditate? 3 hours this day, 12 to 3, next day 3 to 6, next day 6 to 9, next day 9 to 12. That was my life. Once a month, an all-night prayer. Once a week, a special corporate where I invite folks over on Thursday, do an hour of power. Once a month on Saturday, I was doing some crazy tapping in. I'm being deep and spiritual. But they won't let me do that here. They tell me where I can be, what I can do, where I can go. So I became a prayer. And transmuted all of that spiritual download that I was putting in the spiritual bank doing all those years. God, today. And I worked miracles in a prison. Miracles. And I came to know more about myself without the long braids, without the nails, without the money, without the house. And my power worked with twists, me wearing men's clothing and Dickies, and I became a master landscaper. God, today. Right. And my power still worked. You see? That, they shut off even more access to technology there. Yes?
That's right.
I'm bringing that up to say that forced me to go even what? Deeper. I was already going deep on the outside, y'all.
Right.
Everybody couldn't keep my schedule with what I was doing. But I was called to even more. And I was angry. I was upset. My life wasn't my own. My body isn't my own. I was on a plane when they took me. I was shackled. I was black boxed. I was in 6, 7 different prisons and jails before I got to my ultimate location.
Right.
You see? But it still forced me in the silence, in that isolation. I discovered even greater depth of my power. So make the decision to be disciplined, to silence everything around you so that you can know yourself. And it simply starts with just being silent. Yes. And observe. Don't try to force nothing. Don't try to make nothing. And as you go, again, blue pill, what is your quote? The magic in the momentum.
Yes.
As I go, revelation comes. As I go, new practitioners come. You see, as I go, new miracles, new revelation. And so that's where we are. And so how people miss their assignment and their calling is they begin to rely on the voice outside of them, the power on the outside of them. What made me dangerous is when I said I'm a power force within myself and had the courage to make a fool of myself and to play with my power. You see? And right. I kept doing it. and stuff started to happen.
Beautiful, beautiful. I think you answered my next question.
Okay.
What I wanted to say is that, you know, I noticed throughout your whole media journey that you transcend and you don't stay boxed in, right? I've seen you on several media platforms in addition to your own, which is Vicki Dillard TV on YouTube.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to know, I was going to ask you, where does that hustle and drive come from? And I was going to say that I know that it's spiritual because you're beyond self-determined and self-actualizing, but you kind of answered what that is. Like, you've been groomed to do this. So
Indeed, I'll say this one story. There were several things that happened. Sometimes when the most dynamic, life-changing things occur in your life, sometimes you don't realize it happened until after the fact. Yes. So sometimes the most powerful things in my life didn't seem so quote unquote spectacular in the moment they were happening. And I wasn't of presence of mind or maturity to even understand it all, but it didn't matter. It just was a matter of me just receiving it and letting it be. One such incident as a young girl, raised in New Prospect Missionary Baptist Church in Meridian. I was born in another city in Mississippi, but after a few years, my mother and father separated, and all of us kids moved in with our maternal grandparents and our mother. So it was all of us in the house together for most of my rearing. So being raised in the church in New Prospect, this particular sector of Christianity didn't acknowledge so-called prophets, even though there are sectors of Christianity, non-denominational, Pentecostal, charismatic, and other such denominations that specifically do. Even though the text talks about it, the Baptist church that I was a part of did not acknowledge that, right? But I was raised by people that knew scripture, and my grandmother was really a scholar, a master scholar. She started one of the first libraries there, and my folks lived the life for real at home in private and not just publicly. So we were in a spiritual environment and religious environment. So one of the ladies at this particular church, Miss Barfield, I'm a young girl at this time, came to our home. And my mother and grandmother sat down in the kitchen, and she was led to come to the house. She came with the book and said, Vicki, she needs to talk to Vicki. And so she had this scripture that she was pressed by spirit to give to me from Jeremiah chapter 1. In part, Jeremiah in this text, and I'll be finished. He's a young boy, but God comes to him and tells him in Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 5, before I formed thee in the belly. Remember we talking about that a few minutes ago? Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. See, that was another dimension. He was another frequency. So before he was even human, in the human avatar, Spirit said, I knew you. And he says, and before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee. Before, he says, y'all. And I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations. This is the word she gave me. I'm a little girl. She says, tell Vicki to come here. My mother sat there. My grandmother sat there. Watch this. She says this to me. And then verse 6. And then said I, O Lord, behold, I cannot speak, for I am a child. But the Lord said unto me, say not, I'm a child, for thou shalt go to all that I send thee, and whatsoever I command thee, thou shalt speak. Be not afraid of their faces, for I am with thee to deliver thee, saith the Lord. The Lord put forth his hand and touched my mouth, and the Lord said to me, behold, I've put my words in your mouth. Watch this, verse 10 she gave me. See, I have this day, Vicki, set thee over the nations and over the kingdoms to root out. That's why I'm wild. To build, to root out, to pull down, to destroy, to throw down, then build and plant. It goes on talking about other systems of the world that Jeremiah would speak on God's behalf of, and told him he's not to fear, or he's going to make him fearful before his enemies. That's the word I got as a child. That guided me to a degree. So through all of the tumultuousness, at one time I was on local television here many years ago for a brief year or so. For a brief time, I was doing a 15-minute a radio show at an actual radio station many years ago, but it was for a short period of time. And so then in my 30s is when I was looking at possibly 20 years, and then they gave me 5 years. And the lily white Becky Judge says these words to me when she said she was having mercy on me by giving me 5 years. She said, you will be fairly young when you get out, because I'm 43. And so I wondered what would become of my life. How would these things be? And so sick on the floor, because one of the medicines affected my vision for at one time. So for months, I could hardly see. My vision was doubled and couldn't hardly move, very sick. I ended up getting an email about them looking for contributors on Flynupia. Submitted the application online, hardly could see. Pumped with steroids, body unrecognizable. People complaining that the computer I had was terrible reception. Computer was given to me by a practical stranger and beat out. And here we are.
Right.
And we're still on the journey. I just
persevered.
Yeah.
Right. Perseverance. You know,
and being
purpose.
Being
on purpose.
On
yes, sir.
And being able to see in the darkness.
When
we have that compass, right? That compass allows us. I can see the sun at midnight. Feel me?
Come on now.
That's right.
So,
beautiful.
My navigation is not from my flesh eyes.
Come on.
I'm moving through the earth like Billie Jean.
Come on now. Yeah.
It's being lit from my internal eye that sees light inside of the darkness.
Come on.
Right.
So while this might sound very theoretical to people or what have you, this shit is actual.
It's
like,
actual. It's actual.
Literally talking about a process.
Literally
takes place.
Yes.
That they have described in these books about filling your body with light so that you may see.
Yes.
Things that are actually attainable.
Yes.
In those physical feats when you find yourself, at the tail's end, at the bottom. There's nowhere else to go. You're at your lowest.
Ashe.
You know what I'm saying? And when you're at your lowest, you have access to the highest.
Come on now.
Version of yourself. It's almost like how they be like digging a hole until you get to China.
Come on now. Yes, indeed.
You know what I'm saying? So
yes, indeed.
Things seem like they can't get any worse.
Come on.
The other side of that is expansion.
Come on now.
You know what I mean? The fullness of life is and some people tap out before they get that last dredging of dirt removed to say, wow, this is a door to the abundance.
Yes.
And that's where tragedy befalls these narratives and these stories where you like, damn, you just had an inch of soil to remove and there was a whole door there for you.
Powerful.
And we hear these stories.
We do.
Repetitively, and very rarely do we hear about the breakthrough such as yours. We hear a lot more about,
the horror stories.
The horror stories. They gave up on that.
Give up.
Or they succumbed to the darkness and was not able to realize they themselves were a flashlight.
Come on now. I love that.
Is it at? God damn it, it's you.
Right, that's right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
It's you. And again, it's easier to say. It might be very comforting and it might be what's the word I'm looking for? It is, again,
feel goodish.
It rolls off of my tongue.
Feel good.
It's very easy with me saying it. I remember going through it though.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Easier said than done.
Easier said than done.
Yeah.
And somebody made a statement in the chat and they said, your story sounds like Paul's story. Right? Take your time. And I specifically remember finding Paul's story. I was incarcerated, right? And I was on my journey, and my brother can attest because it's been a very long journey. And I'm initially the one that jumped off the porch and said that I'm gonna go through transformation. The streets can't have us. Like we can't die here like our friends did. To our journey. And I decided to step into the darkness of the unknown. There was no conscious community when I made this particular decision to go into a place that didn't exist.
Wow.
Right. And I had to start putting the pieces together to navigate this particular journey. And I remember I had made a misstep, right? And they grabbed me because every time I was making the missteps, I would end up in a cage somewhere, sitting with myself, right? Because I had made these contracts, declarations, and promises to my higher force.
Wow.
Big homie, you get me out of this one. You don't got to worry about me.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I ain't on demon time no more. Matter of fact, I'm gonna spread your word.
Wow. Wow.
Man, I promise. Balling, right? A miracle will happen. Pack your shit. Boom, I'm out of here. Wow. That easy. And then you backslide. Right? And you find yourself now you get buried to put another layer on you. You know what I'm saying? The situation gets that more intense. I remember having an intense moment. And I was looking for myself in the midst of it all because I was actually looking for a miracle. I was out on bail, right? And it was considerable because somebody put property up, right? So my court date for the case that I was out on bail for was coming up that Monday. I might have been locked up over the weekend. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, where am I going to get additional bail money to make sure I make this particular case? Because this has a lot weighing on it. I was looking for a miracle, right? I got into my whole meditative state, right? Speaking to my higher self, my higher power.
Yes.
And I'm like, yo, I need a breakthrough, right? And it said, pick the book up. You know, because the book had a tendency always to calm the beast inside of me.
Come on. Come on.
Tendency to do that. The language, I'm as a poet and everything else, you know, the poetry of the language was enticing enough that if I got visuals, I was willing to follow the story wherever it was willing to take me. So I can find what part of this story was a gem that I can incorporate. You know what I'm saying? What mineral?
Come on. Don't play with it. Powerful.
Right? To bring myself back into homeostasis because anything that's happening to me as a result of me being demineralized, whether that's physically or in a spiritual sense. So why do I find a book in the midst of me looking for myself, right? Because I started reading the Bible, but I'll look at every book that's available in the unit. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I get that.
That's another thing. I've always been spiritually guided to particular books that have something for me, even to the point I'm one of the people. I'll turn right to the page and get the gem.
Come on now. Excuse me.
Again, this is layering on, family, your conviction to yourself to say, yo, self, I know arbitrarily I'm not just spinning in the wind, right? There's things that have happened to me, like the sister Vicki speaking about, they put you in conviction.
Come on.
Well, you're like, yo, I don't need to prove this to nobody. I know what's happening is real. So those things used to happen for me. I would flip a page and it would have a whole narrative for me right there. Book will fall in my hand, open to a page. Where's the whole thing that I'm looking for? So I would just go and look for books. So I came across a book and it was called Lion. And this book was about the biblical story of Paul. I had been wrestling and grappling with this name because I didn't understand it. You know what I'm saying? My mother's not religious. My father's an atheist. So I'm like, why do me and my brother have these names that I don't understand?
Remind the audience, your name is Paul.
And Rez's name is Philip.
That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? So it was some deeper things that happened prior to this, to me finding out this book about Paul. I have found a book called Hiram Key prior to that. A friend of mine sent it to me, should I say, and Hiram Key was written by two Masons who said, look, we're going to tell the secret. And according to them, the secret that they told was Jesus was a twin. And his twin was named James, or the doubting, or Thomas, right?
Come on.
Thomas. My brother's name is Philip Thomas.
Come on.
And then they said that his name was James, but then they said it was Philip. And for Philip, that's when they talk about twins. Thomas means twins. And just all of this stuff that was
now. Powerful.
They said that Jesus and James you could interchange the J's for the P's, because when the J's wasn't in the Bible, nobody asked, well, then what's the letter that they used if they wasn't using J?
Powerful.
They use I, and they also use P. So it was just hitting me. I was like, man, this is deep.
This is,
because when I got on my journey, it again, like Red will tell you, and other people, if they care to co-sign, there was no community. I was like by myself, and I started putting pieces together to create what I would consider to be, at least a platform, a stage, somewhere that we can bring young people in, because that's what the teachers, the master teachers at the time, they was like, we don't want to die with this information. We need young people to teach this to. Yes. And I was like, let me go out there and find the people. And I started bringing people to events, and then we started building up venues to have events, and then bringing in specific teachers to talk about specific topics that I knew would interest, my peer group, the youth.
Yes.
So long story short, now I'm reading this book on Paul, and Paul has an amazing story. And this is the first time that I'm really sitting with it and reading it to the extent that I'm reading it, And I'm like, wow, this story is deep, and it sounds very scorpionic in regards to his transformations. I'm a Scorpio too.
Okay.
Damn, he went from Saul to Paul on the road to Damascus. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, all right, this is I'm understanding. He's talking about transformation. He's talking about shedding of one's coils. He's talking about living several lifetimes in one lifetime. I'm like, shit, I'm going through all of this right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I used to, be the murderous. And when I'm saying murder, I mean talking about bodies, but I mean principalities.
I understand.
Positions like, we come from Harlem, New York. That's debate central. And even though we would never engage in debates, you know what I'm saying? We've seen a lot of people get their heads taken off in those philosophical battles or what have you.
Yes.
And they would always love beating up Christianity. Because it was, it
was the lowest hanging fruit.
Right.
Long story short, I started reading that book, and I started really, understanding the higher narrative or the role or the story. And even in my mind, I'm like, I wasn't that person all of them years ago, you know what I'm saying? But I know the correlation, right? So I'm able to appreciate the correlation in the story. And that Sunday, 1 a.m., right? After I had finished reading the book, I had just put the book down, and I had resigned to a level of failure, but it was still a peaceful resignation. Because remember, the next morning, and I was like, you know what? Whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen. You know what I mean? I what can I possibly do? I've done whatever I can. I've asked of my higher self to come through. You know what I'm saying? Yes. But I was at a peaceful place.
Wow.
Marlon, pack your shit.
Woo! Woo! Come on now. Yes, sir.
Did I come and get you? Was that when I came and got you?
Maybe, yeah. But nonetheless, no, my
yeah, who?
My lady, she had flew up.
Oh, she
got me out. You. And then like I got an opportunity to make it to court the next day. You know what I'm saying? And even when I went to court the next day, that situation got situated.
Come on now. I love it. That situation got situated. Yes.
Like I've had these amazing experiences, searching for the truth of myself or the larger aspects of the narrative, right? How we are multi-contextually connected to these narratives and these stories. Nothing is on chance.
Come on.
Only thing that I'm guilty of is that I've lived a life attempting to, unmask, my contract. I'm just like, not. I haven't attempted to modify it. I'm just like, look,
Wow.
let me just make sure that, what I'm saying, I'm living a life that's consistent with my cosmic contract. You feel me? What I'm
Ashe.
here to do, because I know that it's a magnanimous mission. You
Come
know,
on.
I can step back and say that I've done a lot, but maybe, what I'm saying, maybe my assignment is just so magnanimous. You feel me? They like,
Come on.
nah, your breakthrough's gonna happen at the age of 90 or something.
Yeah, what if it's just getting started?
Yeah, what
Come
if
on
I'm just getting
Come
started?
on. Come on.
Right? Or
I
my
love it.
the true impact of the work that's being done is going to be felt 444 years from now.
Come on now. Come on now.
Maybe it's
Come on
just with the
now.
number itself. You know what I'm saying? So later on, I leave and I find out that Paul started his mission 44 AD in Antioch.
Wow.
Like, what's the chances of that?
What's the chances of that? Come on now.
Well, I started reading the book of Philip. It was very revealing. I was like, I can see why they would want to take this out and bury this book.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? This is when they was giving up the metaphysics. And Paul himself was the person who implemented the majority of metaphysical, musings that got attributed to Christ.
Wow.
He's the one that dressed it up. They call it Pauline Christianity. The
Come on
entire
now.
system is based on imagination.
Yeah, baby.
So, I'm like, why not? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, why not? You feel me? And again, so I appreciate you because you have not thrown the baby out with the bathwater. There's power in these narratives, and there's ability for us to find our people where they're at. If they're truly seeking for themselves.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? If they're truly seeking for themselves, we can provide that compass. And shout out to my brother Kibalan. He always says that you find compass in the word compassion because they go hand in hand. So
That's good.
About Christianity, right? And again, I identify, and I shared this with you when I saw you, Sister Vicky. I identified the strength in that particular religion. I identified the strength that I was able to observe in our sisters, in particular, the miracle workers, you know what I'm saying, the prayer workers, the strength workers, especially the ones who opened up their spirit and was able to bellow out those tones.
Yes. Start. Come on now.
Yeah, I'm just a fool for that. You know what I'm saying?
Come on.
I love gospel music.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I love what it means to us as a people. I love the testimony.
Yes.
I love the guttural place that they're pulling from.
Yes.
I love the conviction and the fact that, you can't tell them that what they speaking on ain't the truth.
Hey, come on.
We fall down.
Come on. Come on.
You know?
And what you're sharing, brother, is so profound. The reason I didn't throw it all out is because you've seen people. My one of my siblings, she's a master chef. She's a culinary chef. She got it. I mean, just off the chain. And of course, my folks, my mom, grandma, of course, could cook. That comes with the thing in Mississippi. But I cook stuff in there. But that ain't just my thing to be like that. I cook other stuff up. Let them do that. We come on. That ain't for me. But anyway, so what I found is sometimes they mix ingredients that others normally don't mix, you see. Yeah. And it still makes something, and it's good. It's real good. And so what I realized is, as I was studying other spiritual systems like Islam, like other denominations, like other getting into, and I was secretly studying other spiritual systems that I was raised to believe and told that was demonic and of the devil and stuff, and not necessarily directly from my people, but people within your same religious or spiritual system. When I begin to tap into some of that stuff, you don't, when you seek spirit for real, when you seek as you mentioned, your higher self for real. When you tap into spiritual stuff, you go deeper and you start to realize that you kind of have the power to transmute it. And it meaning all spiritual systems are our inheritance, and they can all be traced directly or indirectly to the Ancient of Days, to the beginning. So I say it's all mine anyway, and I do with this magic what I will.
What you will.
What I will. And can still make something from it and actually mix stuff, not in a disrespectful way, you understand, in a reverential way, but there is good and there is magic in a lot of that stuff. And we specifically speak about Christianity because that's such a stronghold for our people. Some of them don't even realize that some of our ancient Black spiritual gems were stolen and renamed in scriptural text anyway. You feel what I'm saying? So
some of those are proverbs.
Again,
African proverbs.
Stop telling me
exactly
about what was taken from me if you're not telling me the contingency plan to take it back.
That's what you told me in Atlanta, didn't you?
Exactly.
Yes.
I started my ministries, my mineral ministries, based on the fact that here in the South, people are very ambivalent towards people with crystals on. Right? They get right into their spookism bag.
Yes.
No matter how much good in the community that I've done, it don't matter how dignified I am in my own personal stature. Christians see me with, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
With stones on, and they get in their feelings.
Exactly.
You feel me? And
Yes,
I'd be like, well, where did you get that from?
Come on.
Because in the Bible, God is synonymous to a rock.
Come on.
Jesus is synonymous to a rock.
Come on now.
On a rock. Peter is a rock, right? New Jerusalem is built out of crystals.
Come on.
Right? They didn't say New Jerusalem is going to become towers.
Powerful.
You know what I'm saying? They ain't say none of that. They said it's a crystal city.
Yeah.
So I said, if all of these things are founded in the very book that you read, what are you reading so much different that got you looking at me sideways?
Come on now.
So I went and found out that there was 43 verses in the Bible speaking specifically about gemstones, 300 plus speaking about rocks, and 100 speaking about crystals, 100 plus speaking about crystals, of course. So I'm just like, I'm searching and I'm looking and I'm helping through this process. Other people find their way. So we have a mineral ministries where that's what we preach from. We preach from a mineral foundation in that book, right? And again, if God is synonymous to a rock, they didn't even say a diamond, they said a rock.
Come on now, come on.
Just a plain old rock.
Facts.
Then that's what, you know, we're gonna build this particular foundation to take back this narrative from people who have been abusing and misusing it. Powerful. Right? I'm not willing to walk away and just leave that as is.
Come on now.
Because of the frequency that comes from the music. The music will not allow me to walk away and leave our women in that particular church by themselves, right? Crying out and bellowing and bringing up these particular tones and frequencies to the fact that there is some level of spiritual conviction, right?
Powerful.
That's why chakras open. They got a love in them that's profound, even if it's for something that you tell me is invisible and don't exist.
Facts.
Look,
like, all right, let's streamline it to something that's physical that do exist, and what can we actually do?
Look, I went to a Trinidadian funeral, and I understood the power of the gospel during that funeral when they had us pick up the hymn books and began singing from the hymn books. My goodness. If you, I mean, like Blue said, it sent chills through my body just being in that church and hearing them hymns being sung.
Come on.
You feel me? And these are people from the islands. So it also translates to the people in the States. It also translates when you listen to the hymns that they over there in Africa singing and whatnot. The glue that holds together the church is the music, it's the gospel, it's the hymns,
It's the
it's
hymns.
those, it's those sacred songs and whatnot that tap into, like Blue said, it opens up chakras.
When you look at the word hymn, there's a connection to even the hymen. There's a connection to that region here.
Yes.
When you begin to study that out.
Yes, well, keep in mind, the organs that are being played in the church are some of the same organs that are being played in drill rap and trap rap in the clubs of Atlanta.
Come on
that
now.
speak to your bass.
So if a person can tell me that they are listening to trap music or rap music just for the beats, right? Then I say, well, yeah, I listen to the beats and I listen to the lyrics. God damn it, well, I do the same thing with gospel. Okay,
exactly. I do the same thing with Donnie McClurkin. Right? I do the same thing with Warren Sapp. Because remember, it's the pianos, it's the dark simps, it's the same organs.
Come on.
That's what took off. Henceforth, why some of the most popular drill rap and trap rap producers come out of the church. And then before there was a drill rap, there was a New Jack Swing.
Come on.
All of these Terry Lewis and all of them, Babyface. You could go and do the research on where they come from. They all come out Motown.
This is what makes these pillars dangerous. You can't tell them that when they go into the hip hop. I'll just be watching this. I'll just be whenever you go into this.
What about Stevie Wonder?
That's right. What about Stevie?
A blind young man, right? Who was able to understand sound and frequency on another level, but that started in the church. All of our greats started in the church. So I'm not finna be kicking dirt on the church as an institution, right? Or a place where our people congregate to flirt with their greatness.
Come on now.
Search for their greatness.
Search for their
flirt with it.
Their greatness. And then of course we understand that there's aspects of the church that want to suppress and hold that innate energy down. You feel me?
Yes.
But it perseveres and there's something there. That's what I'm saying.
As metaphysicians, forgive me really quick for, as you all say, will cut your wisdom. Forgive me not to cut your wisdom. Everything is energy, the greats tell us, and that's that. Is that right? Yes, everything is energy, and that's that. That's what we're resonating with. You call it what you will, but what we're feeling, what we're picking up in the invisible is that energetic thing there. Everything's energy. And so that's exactly why we can incorporate these things. We can tap into some of these other things, regardless of how certain things have been demonized or whatever labels and conditioning and programming we've attached to these different things. We are tapping into this frequency, this energy. That's what we're sensing. Whatever you want to call it, we know what we feel. And that's why I say we do with this magic, with all spiritual systems, what we will.
Right.
It was told to me that gospel music is Jesus love songs, right? Love songs to the Lord. And secular music, or what was known as soul music that Aretha and them started singing, was music to mortals, to men.
Wow.
Jesus wasn't the quote unquote knight in shining armor in these songs. They were directing it to homie in that pink Cadillac or that, you know what I'm talking about?
He played too much. Y'all just play too much.
I do have a question for you. Blue, go ahead and ask yours. My bad.
Again, I'm just reiterating, that we wanna pay homage and acknowledge our ancestors. And again, the evidence as to whether Christianity worked or not as an institution, because it gets a very bad rap.
Right.
And I'm like, let's step back, right? And I'm like, God damn it, you wouldn't be here. The evidence of whether it worked or not is your black ass is here.
That part. It
wasn't that bad.
Powerful.
Yeah. One day it wasn't so bad.
Come on,
right?
Come on.
Because it still operated as, it ferried you to the other side. You're here.
Yes.
Now make of it now that you're here, reverse engineer.
Yes.
Right? Telling me that they took it from you right? So let me see you take it back, re-engineer it, and then now you utilize that to proselytize throughout the entire planet.
Come on now.
I'm just saying.
And you using the word reverse engineer to me is just another magical word that we use when we talk about transmuting something. It's us taking the stuff, yes, and making it into something else, making it into something that's useful and good. And so I love that, to just reverse engineer it. And if you said, y'all hearing? If you said they took this from us, yes. If you said the white man, if you said they did, the precedent, then you take it back.
That's right.
I love that. I love that.
Like a victim, I will not identify with you.
Right?
We came here to disrupt. That's all we've been doing
now.
Since we've been here, and we're not going to stop now.
Yes, sir.
So that's right. That's definitely an institution that deserves our disruption.
Yes.
Because it got our mamas and our nanas trapped up in it.
Come on.
Of disillusionment. But if this is where they go to seek a better version of themselves, because they want a love that they've never felt before.
Come on now.
You know what I'm saying? Then that's some places still I'm willing to meet them at, to remind them, like, you got children that's worthy of this love.
Yes.
You got neighbors that's worthy of this love. You know what I'm saying? We got this earth that can use some of that love force energy that you might be only reserving for the big homie in the sky. You know what I'm saying? But
this is what also makes you dangerous.
Yes.
It's also in a good way. You feel what you see where I'm going, Red? This makes you dangerous too, because we're recruiting all our people in every system, the ones that they think they have the greatest stronghold with.
Right.
You tap it, man. What? And this, I love that. I love that. That really
said true inner self comes from spirituality. What I'm explaining to you, family, is that this is the highest form of spirituality.
Come on now.
Right? The highest form of spirituality is that we're not separate. We exist as a contained a unit.
You
feel me? And I'm not willing to turn my back, you know, on my family, who may be further along the way than they are further away from the particular center point that they need to get to, because whether they have love in their heart for something that you're saying don't exist, right?
Yes.
To me, that's 100 times better than somebody that don't got love in their heart at all.
Wow.
That's right.
Woo!
And hold on.
You hit that.
And according to the numbers, just according to the law of ratios, some of the greatest people in our community have come out the church.
Exactly.
So how could we burn the church down and throw it away when they've been producing some of the most stellar teachers that we have ever encountered? Because the majority of the people that I come across, their elementary school, they all went to the same kindergarten and first grade, and that was the Christian church.
Come on down. Hit it. Let's hit it.
Most of us come from the same academy.
Come on.
Foundation is the same.
I've encountered the same charlatans in the spiritual systems.
Just had different clothes on. They took off the frock.
So the fact that you're gonna find pastors in the church fronting, and they the ones that got the whole fangs on them, they're the ones that's the monsters that's hiding behind the cloth. It's the same situation over here. So the higher up that you go, the higher up that you go, with your master teachers,
that's right.
You feel me? The closer that you may, you know, run into a heartbreak when you find out some of the things that go on, you know, behind the scenes,
exactly,
behind the curtain.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? The emperor has no clothes. So, you know, again, you feel me? Spiritualism again deals with the whole aspect of totality, you know, non-separation. Everything is connected. Everything is connected, and we know that high tides lift all boats. So what I'm saying is, if we can have a different conversation that arrives at a different understanding, you know, then we can create a different calibration, a different energy, a different resonance.
Beautiful.
And you have to be in conflict with auntie and nana and mama them, thinking that you're going to find a replacement family over here.
Powerful.
Who are not taught necessarily how to love themselves, let alone how to love somebody else that's outside of their family, that's not blood relative, that they don't end up using and abusing down the road. You're gonna need your family. You're gonna need your familiars in this journey, in this walk.
That's good.
Right? About you edifying and knowing, what it is that you have to do as your soul assignment. And I'm guessing that soul assignment is not always, even though it's a personal one, it should always, or it may always, or there's a large probability that it has something to do with your bloodline, generational bloodline, right? Yeah. I say that I'm the latest iteration of the first vibration to ever exist.
Yes.
I've lived millions of times.
Come on now.
And I don't think that I've jumped into the same bloodline all of my existences, right? So light coalesced to its slowest vibration, which is physical form, right? Now I got all of this cute, fleshy stuff, but there's a spark of light inside of me. The soul forms. The heart is the first thing that forms in the womb during birth.
Yes.
First thing is the soul.
Come on.
I mean, it's the heart. Then they say that the soul is in the seat of the heart, right? So that inanimate light, that spark, right? This vessel is traveling and carrying around. Let's call that the ark, right? Let's call that the Ark of Arks or the Holy Covenant, right? Let's call it that because it's housing this particular light that is older than time itself, because there's no time when this light did not exist.
Come on.
Right? So I am not in this lifetime fooled, okay, by this coil of flesh to think that this is who I am.
Right.
Right? I'm not buying into this. Right? So I have an internal acknowledgement of my eternal self.
Come on now.
But because I'm physical and I'm born into this dimension, I feel like there's something that I need to defend because I got the spacesuit. I got this last name. It's connected to this legacy. You feel me? So I'm like, oh, I got to defend this. Or I got to do this. I got to do that. And those are decisions that you make personally. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure that there's something has to do with your contract or what have you. But the most important thing, and I'm speaking for myself, I can't say the most important thing that you have to learn. I would say the most important thing that I'm gonna hold on to, right, when I check up out of here, is that I was able to discover that I'm a spark of light. And that's how I connect to any and everybody else on this planet.
Yes.
They also have that spark. And also, right, I identify myself as water. I'm immutable like water, and water don't have no age, and water don't have no enemies.
Powerful. That's good. That's powerful.
So I have another question for you, Sister Vicky.
Yes, sir. That's so good.
So you fearlessly, you've been on the neck of these politicians, you know what I mean? Shout out to what's her name? Kamala, the cop in them.
Yeah.
You've been on the neck of these journalists. Shout out to Rolly. The whole staff over there at MSNBC. You know what I'm talking about? All of the talking heads.
Okay.
Shout out to the bobbleheads out there. You've been on the neck of the commentators.
Yes.
Whoever's not standing on the side of righteousness, you've been at them, right? To the point where we now know that they have to address you either directly or indirectly. You're that much of a force now. So we know that the impact of Black grassroots media is real in real time. Yes. We also know that it could be very tiring and it could be a thankless job. I want to know what allows you to continue to show up in the way that you do for our people.
Again, it's a part of my assignment is to, a part of what you heard me read in Jeremiah was about, it says nations and kingdoms and stuff like that. Those are really dealing with energies, right? And impact, and those that control or have influence over the masses. And that's really, I mean, this right here may not sound very deep, and I know there's a lot of teachings against this. My life ain't like everybody else. So whatever that, okay, whatever, if this may not apply to you, but there are some things in my life that I do feel are destined, fated, and predetermined because of the contract that preceded me coming here.
Right.
And so, frankly, I'm very clear about that purpose, and I've given myself to that purpose. So that's why I do it, is because I've married myself to that purpose. But let me say this too, because as I say, the multiple hells, the multiple Gehennas that I've walked through.
Yes.
There were times that I was about to get a middle finger to all that. You know what I'm saying? I was threatening that. But a force from the outside, it seemed, was still pushing me and assisting me and helping me. When Jesus, in one part of scripture, before his ascension, before Calvary,
yes,
whatever you believe about that story, as it's written, let's use it in that way, in prima facie, on its face, the way it's written.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to him being taken, because he knew the time had come and the government was getting ready to officially come after him, there was an anguishing of his soul, yes, in Gethsemane. And it talked about how he was sweating. The way he was sweating was like great drops of blood, it said, but it was so intense. But it said that in the end, an angel came to assist him during that difficult time.
Right.
That is what keeps, in the most difficult times, my celestial lineage that I'm going to talk about.
Yes.
In the Ancestors Webinar, Sunday, June 26th. Go to my website. It's there, onpurposewithvicky.com, to register, family. Sunday, June 26th. If you would, thank you for letting me plug that, brothers.
Of course.
His celestial, you see, it wasn't flesh and blood that had the necessary power to comfort and shift him for that next, y'all ain't here. It required an angel, a different type of power, you see, in that moment to help him with this transition. It was toward the end when he was anguishing. It says an angel came to assist him, to help him. Yes, that's the beauty of the connection, the altar. I'm giving y'all another sacred secret in one of my other ones.
I get it.
Your royal bloodline, the true umbilical cord, umbilical cord. And I broke down the etymology and said, do they mean umbilical as they teach us the pronunciation, or umbiblical, the scroll, the genes, the information, the knowledge that I ain't got time to work that. Spirit taught me that revelation. I didn't read that in no book. I didn't hear that from nobody. I told y'all, I just bump it. They tell me stuff. So I break down that cord as it was given to me, as I downloaded and channeled that. So at times, because of the connection, they assisted me, you see? Like Jesus during his difficult time where he may have broken, he could have broken in that moment. This other power kind of intervened because of the previous contract, but also the connection. They came in to assist me. So this notion of connecting and developing your relationship, because this is not a one-stop shop thing. I'm saying when you develop this altar, this relationship, this connection with this shadow government, it causes nonstop miracles and supernatural things that occur in your life. Even at the moment where I wanted to give up and when I was the most sick, it's like, if I can't do my purpose, why am I here? It wasn't about being suicidal. It's just about, if my body don't work, you feel me? This avatar doesn't work in this space that I have this contract with. You see, those are the moments I was in, moments like that. Like, why am I here if I can't even do my purpose? And in those moments, that I had powerful breakthroughs. And so that's really what this is about, is developing those relationships. So during those most difficult times, you will have this reserve of power. Yes, this reserve of power that will be able to assist you, even in the times where you think it's too hard, it's too difficult. And again, these powers came and influenced me, not just so I could survive the most difficult parts. That's the most important, really. But also they help to give me creative ideas, and insight to bring stuff into existence. So that's what I would say.
Beautiful, beautiful. Next question I have is, earlier you touched on in the webinar / masterclass that you had titled "The Secret Money in Your Womb." I remember seeing you on Brother Richard's show a couple of months back. You was dropping gems, not only for the sisters, but also for the men who have the pleasure of being in that feminine magnetic aura. Can you hit us with a little bit of insight regarding that? Because I was just hearing a part. I remember hearing just a part of what you were saying and how powerful that was. You feel me? So can you touch on, just the power of, what it is that you were talking about?
What makes something truly sacred is the fact that there are elements of it that's secret. And so a lot of the revelation that I shared with just the women, with Brother Rich, because he asks some of the greatest questions sometimes, some of the most incisive questions.
Yes, he does. Shout out to Rich.
Yes, sir. I told Brother Rich, I ain't gonna answer that question. I gave a little bit, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I said, I don't let this for because that's precisely some of it. Because it was it was for the women, because our magic works so well when we're not trying to control stuff outside of us. We're not trying to wag our fingers in the face of our men to tell them what to do, force him to do this, you ought to do that. I'll say this much: dealing with the feminine, the womb, a part of the secrets of the womb, the revelation that I was talking about, is how we use our femininity and our sexual power in a non-exploitative way, but still in an unabashed way. Because the sexual energy, the divine feminine energy specifically, is the creative force. And I have had difficulty and have been mistreated often by men, and no disrespect to any of our sisters that have been sexually violated in any way. We must heal of those things. But in most cases, it's meant to be that when we bring humans into existence, there's pleasure that's meant to be involved. Yes?
Yes.
In the bringing forth of this life. And so that's one of the major principles that I teach the women, that I've learned and that I'm growing in, you see, as a divine feminine woman, to embrace these divine feminine aspects, yes. But there's a major part that we move in power through this pleasure, sexual, divine feminine energy. Now, when we're dealing with the divine feminine energy, I'll say this much. When I'm operating in this energy, and it's not deep, but I'll say this. For us divine femininists, we get out of our head and into our bodies. I'm going to say it again. This is a distinction for me. I can't speak for other women that teach on femininity. Get out of your head and into your body. We are masters of this when we give ourselves to this. See, getting out of the mind that deals with sort of the masculine, the logic. That area. But when you get into your body, it's not necessarily logic, but it's still an intelligence. You see, getting into the body. And so we as women make bodies. God, today, see, we develop bodies. We bring bodies into existence. So when we allow energy to flow, when we feel, there's nothing wrong with feeling, you see. It's just when we're divinely aligned to the right feelings, it's our greatest power, in fact. But we make bodies. That's our specialty. So I'm learning to get out of my head and into my body. And we go further with our sacred secrets to know that with our wombs, which is an energetic center, we can make humans. Human beings, I contend, are the highest form of life. And we don't think nothing about the fact that we're able to bring into existence the highest form of life. Watch this. But because this is an energetic center where we, I contend, magnetize souls, because the heart doesn't even start to beat when the fetus is made. So what's happening? What happens when this spark finally comes after so many days and weeks? There's a galactic cosmic connection that we have where this energetic center can magnetize stuff from other realms. So if I can create the highest form of life with this energetic center that's just not physical, this space, so whether you've had a hysterectomy or not, whether you have a womb or not, whether you've had whether I've birthed children, I'm 43, never had my own babies, but I can still bring a business into existence. I can bring existence. I can manifest money, whether I'm working. There's a lot of stuff that happens, and the womb is so powerful. It's even more dangerous than the womb of the mind, because once something actually sits in the feminine, divine feminine's womb area, development already automatically starts. You see, so I move into some of those principles that I was shown concerning that, and it has more to do with us getting out of our heads and into our bodies. And so moving more into my divine feminine energy, and not in an exploitative way, but me also not being afraid of my frame, of the divine energy in my body, my shape, and the frequency. And some folks have got stuff to say, Vicki, you didn't change. You know, it's not just, when you're healed and you grow and you stop allowing other folks' standards, and to be honest, in many instances, misunderstandings, to be foisted upon you, I move with great boldness now into more of this feminine energy, because of what I've come to know it is. It's the creative force, you see. And so I'm playing with my divine energy power. I know I kind of went off on that so that I don't get
you good.
Secrets, but these are some of the things that I teach about us not controlling from the outside, us doing all of our magic from the inside. Everything starts with us. I don't try to seduce. It's not about a man seducing me yet first. I seduce myself, and then that happens automatically. I get into those things in those webinars.
Okay, beautiful.
Amazing. You said a whole entire word. You said something that's so profound that is overlooked. It's the biggest thing ever.
What's that?
Women make temples inside of themselves. It reminds me of, again, going back to the book when they speak about King Solomon, in 1 Kings, and they speak about the building of the temple that requires the use of no hammers, or the use of no nails and the sounds of no hammers. When we speak about, again, I did my 6th sermon was this past Strong In on Sunday, and I called it God Lives in a Garden. And I did it physically inside of a garden. And I did it at an event that was talking about return to the garden, right? And I explained to them, science and religion are on a crash course because one kind of cancels the other out, utilizing logic. And science says evolution is a thing, right? But religion says what religion says. What I'm saying is that if God is infallible and makes no mistakes, then we need to say that the first place that he created life at in the garden was the highest order.
Wow.
Because God is not attributed with creating cities or cosmopolitan areas. That was created by man. That's what you call civilization. Right? So in the system such as the garden, where everything was provided, food, clothing, and shelter, right? Food and
Indeed.
sustenance. Okay. If everything was already at its highest order and provided and given, you know what I'm saying? What I explain to them is that if we're to look at the Most High, we're looking to Creator as someone who initially doesn't make mistakes, because this is all out of His mind. This is an experiment, right? And He put humanity in a place that He felt that the probability for them to procreate and exist into, growing to 7 billion strong was the greatest, right? I'm gonna put you someplace where everything that you needed is provided. You feel me?
Powerful.
Very, very profound and powerful. So when we understand this whole aspect of, the garden and the closed system, you know what I'm saying, and us having any and everything that we can possibly need from the gate, from the door, and then again, we explore how life is given and created on this planet. We say that because look, like, I don't remember being in the womb, but I remember having to share a breast with my brother. Right? It
Wow.
wasn't even my breast, and I was making executive decisions. Nah, nigga, you're not getting none of this. Like, I was very selfish. And it wasn't selfish out of ego, it was selfish out of sustainability, right? That my first law of preservation is to preserve myself. I had to make sure that I got that milk, right? And I have a tendency to think that, men are somewhat borderline selfish because we respect our boundaries, and we like, nah, nigga, you can't be up in here, like, you feel me?
Yes.
But a woman allocates her entire temple in a vessel to grow another person. Like, that's some profound shit.
Indeed.
Right? I don't even want to hold on to ideologies that don't belong to me. Let alone carry a whole nother person.
Come on now. Come on.
My rib cage.
Come on.
That's asking a whole lot.
Wow.
And women have been doing that since the beginning of time.
Indeed.
You know what I'm saying? And they are the work shed. They're the tool shed through which the Most High moves and operates.
Yes.
So I don't get into the conversation as to whether the black woman is God or not. What I do remind brothers of is that I'm like, look who God works through, right? Look
mystery.
Look
at the mystery, right? Because you don't have a womb, right? You don't have that level of intelligence that internally dictates whether an entire life is going to grow inside of you, and its spirit, not even your spirit, their spirit comes inside of them, because that spirit is their own.
Right. A foreign spirit, right?
Spirit
a whole nother spirit is in your body along with your spirit.
Come on.
Couple with the blood and the semen from another person to coagulate and form this particular specimen.
It's the greatest mystery.
Now becomes a vessel, becomes endowed with light that animates it. You know what I'm saying? And it comes through the portal and it is alive. So I say, even God on earth had to come through one.
Exactly. And so when you hear them say, when you hear it said, Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, no one comes to the Father. Well, no one gets in the earth realm unless they go through the gate, of the woman. And
to this day.
Absolutely.
To this day.
I love it.
So,
absolutely.
Again,
and so the womb can magnetize, though. That's what makes it magnetizes, and it affects men, even all people, really, but specifically there's a uniqueness about our dance with our beloved brothers that we're able to influence through this feminine energy. And so when we're looking even at the word electromagnetic or magnetic, you see the word magic in magnetic if you take out the word net. But the womb space is a net we can trap and we can pull. That's what makes us so powerful. So when the woman is empowered, and I am within proximity of your field, a man that tends to his garden, his woman, is going to get raises, bonuses, opportunities. Things will happen for him that don't happen for everybody else because of what's happening, his interaction within her electromagnetic field. And I love that you use the garden, because I often refer to the woman as a garden. And if we're talking about divine relationships and being in relationships with your divine counterpart, what happens with the man that tends to his garden? In fact, that's where you get the word husband from. Husbandry is an agrarian word, you see.
Right.
I ain't teaching. Hold on. You've been teaching, but
husband, yes, husbandry. That word husbandry is an agrarian. Yes,
that's the science of horticulture and tending to one's garden.
Right.
Yes, sir. What does a husband do when it comes to his garden? Sometimes he has to put a fence around it to protect. Yes.
Protect it.
He has to ensure that it's in a space where light can hit it and it's properly fertilized. He makes sure that it's properly watered. And when the garden is tended to, watch this. When you do the work, when you front load, when you do the heavy lifting in the beginning of the garden, what does the garden do for you?
Produces that good harvest.
And if you notice, even in the garden, right? Even in the garden, the hoe is always on her back.
To this day. To this
That was so appropriate what you just played.
I want to add on, and I want to also point out the power of the magnet, right? Because you speak about the magnetic field.
Yeah.
And you know, the man, remember when we were still dealing with chivalry, and there was a level of courtship involved. It wasn't just a one night, wham, bam, thank you, ma'ams and whatnot. We had time to get to know one another.
Yes.
But it was known during that phase of the courtship that the man would actually become greater than who he was prior to, running into what he saw as his better half. Because the magnetism of a great woman pulls out the best in the man.
Yeah, like even that, I had to sit up straight.
Right.
I remember with the courting process, used to do like, oh shit, I gotta
back straight.
Right.
Come
you gotta get
right.
the act together.
Pull the pants up, back straight. Look.
It's right. Almost like the flower in the garden that had, the perpendicular aspect.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Couldn't be the limp flower and think that you're gonna get some action and whatnot.
Come on now.
So
yes,
it's
sir.
the magnetism, the simple example of how a magnet draws another magnet.
Powerful.
You are known to bring the best part of us to the surface. We don't carry the best part of us on our surface at all times. Like that's just not something that we naturally do. You see the God in us, and your magnetism pulls it forwards. If you're really meant for us, or we're equally yoked, if you are the one who draws the best part of me to the surface, then that's the part that blossoms. And it's the same way when we give you our magnetic energy, because it's been known that when you are in good loving, when you're covered and when you're enveloped by good loving, you got the glow. You dig what I'm saying? You blossom like a flower. You dig what I'm saying? Beauty begins to shine through. There's another layer of you. There's another part of you. There's the subtleties of you that begin to surface when that charge is real, when there's a real charge, and that's in courtship.
Man, if you don't hit that,
let's talk about it.
You don't drop that bomb on yourself.
You don't. Oh my God!
Right.
When this gardens produce, you can be sustained off the garden. The garden will produce fruit, sustenance, right?
The garden heals. Herbs and whatnot.
What is the garden's the atmosphere of the garden? I want my woman to be beautiful. I want her to be this. What a garden is beautified.
So beautified.
Come on now.
Right. So beautiful.
The smell.
It's wow. and it's
Right. It's beautiful. It's wild. It's unpredictable.
Come
Ain't too many
on.
Right.
It-
And it sustains because the
unexpected
crops.
sprung up.
Right.
I got unexpected rewards. I just planted something over here, and 4 things sprung up.
4 things popped up. Right.
And when the seasons change, because you've done the work, brothers, in the you've done the front loading. As the season goes and as it shifts, that stuff automatically on its own start to pop up over time. Is that right? It's
That's right.
so much when you tend to your garden will tend to you. When you tend to your garden will tend to you. And look, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
It's I'm gonna drop something on y'all.
We better get ready.
The electricity, right? Representing the masculine principle.
Right.
Electricity hits the planet, boom, and creates on the surface what's called electromagnetism. Right? Now, this planet, this earth, this garden, anything that we're talking about is an ecosystem.
Come on.
Right? And it's a closed system. Let's look at how we embody, right, the actual garden that in that book, God said that he manifested, you know what I'm saying, to put us in, us being made in his image, or put into something that's also an extension of quote unquote, and I'm just using his and, those pronouns and stuff, just so you understand.
Yes, sir.
This garden is an extension, a bosom of that womb, right? Earth is another womb. The galaxy is another womb. The child is in the womb, don't know what's in the womb. When me and Red was in the womb, the only thing that we knew was our circumference and our environment and our ecosystem until we're born and birthed into a whole nother womb, and we're like, oh wow, Earth.
Right.
So but the child that's in the womb don't know that it's encased and encompassed in a mother. It only knows these particular walls as its circumference.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But it don't know what's on the other side of the walls.
That's
it don't
good.
know that those walls and that womb belongs to a whole womb man.
Yes.
So, speaking about that magnetism, again, I don't participate in the conversation about whether the Black woman is God or not. But I do say that the Black woman is undervalued, misunderstood. You know what I'm saying? And shame on us as brothers, because we are now observing our woman through the eyes of someone who has a decalcified pineal gland, who does not revere, right, her status, her position, or her place on this planet at all. So we done bought into a lie. We're looking out of eyes that are connected to a brain that's so we could never see her truly for who and what she is. Right? But rather than having these discussions about whether she's God on earth, let's understand her science. Right? That magnetism that you speak of is the fact that every 28 days you replenish your iron supply. Right? So the fresher the blood, the stronger the iron. The stronger the iron, the stronger the magnetism. Hence the fact that she is the first intuitive, right? We communicate with the sun by way of what's called solar winds, right? The solar winds come into contact with the entity on this planet that has the extended magnetism that goes the furthest. So whoever goes furthest out into space gets the download and information. It's the fact that she is intuitive.
You better stop. You ain't even right.
To this day. To this day.
You play too much.
So how could she be secondary and she gets the primary download?
My God.
So again, we're at a space and a place and time where we're still chasing our tails, attempting to come up with a hierarchical position of where she belongs. The white man said, just put her in the workforce because she is currency.
Come on.
Capricorn, she's government. So she runs the government, she runs the economy, right? And then the Negro has not yet figured out how to put her in position to work alongside of him, and she's proven herself to say, I'm blindly running the whole goddamn government for this white man.
That's why Blue.
Come on.
That's why we were having this conversation the other day, and I was like, look, the key to our businesses as Black men, the reason why we not getting on is because we not getting branded by our women.
Ashe. What's that right rapper's name?
Jack Harlow.
Yes. Did y'all see the statement that he just made?
Yes.
Tell him, Red.
He said he wants to personally thank Black women because they got him as far as he's gotten in his career, and they don't have nothing to worry about. That he'll never turn his back on them. However, he's on record saying that he's a Drake clone in a sense, like he's an admirer of Drake. So he's using the Drake blueprint.
Come on.
But Drake used the blueprint from somebody else. And it goes back to what I was saying earlier in the show, that there's people in business and there's people in politics and there's people in everyday walks of life that know that the greatest and the most latest, right, brand ambassador for anything that man wants to do on this planet is the Black woman. Don't at me.
To this day.
And it's not Becky. And no offense to, like I said, all of the Beckwiths out there on the channel.
I'm laughing because Blue, you just said the woman is currency. You just broke down this principle so beautifully, Red, connecting this comment that Harlow just said. You are teaching the principles that I exactly teach in my 3 series, The Secret Money in Your Womb, that the woman herself is money, which is why we attract it. You brothers just broke down powerful revelations that exactly prove why I taught those things that I just taught. Exactly what you just said matches those particular principles. And that's all we're saying, which is why we, the woman, this notion when we operate within our divine feminine essence, it is revolutionary. The political stuff I'm talking about, white supremacy, I'm talking about all those things we're talking about. These are energies and powers that we can operate to overcome even a lot of that. You feel what I'm saying? So these are the things. And of course, the ancestors are another dimension of that as well. When I was doing my series on the messenger angels and stuff, again, these are powers. These are energies that we can tap into and not be fooled by it's only the U.S. government or only your vote, you see, or some system that you can see on your eyes that they, have legitimized and established. But there's an invisible government, invisible forces that we can tap into and access real power and breakthrough. And the scripture says 1 can put 1,000 to flight, 2 can put 10,000. So I'm teaching these things because the more of us that operate in this, the greater impact that we'll have for our people and by extension, the world. I have an appointment coming up here in just a little bit that I have to head out for in just a little bit.
Okay,
brother.
Excellent. So, I got one more question I wanted to ask you.
Yes, indeed.
With all that's going on in the world and what's continuing to go on, children always have been a topic of concern and top priority. In the past, we've done quantum meditations, and we've seen positive responses from the universe. In your opinion, what is the best thing that we could do right now to protect the children?
The best thing we can do right now, know thyself, be thyself. It's not even about just saying I want more for my baby than for me. Of course, that's important. That's entirely important. What shapes when people, notwithstanding my journey and even some of my siblings, because there's a type of integrity that folks contribute to me and, purpose in certain things, they want to know how do you quote unquote produce a child like that, even with the tumultuous journey? It wasn't because my folks just said the children are so important, the children are the future. It was their example. Right. The best thing you can do to shape your child, it was what I saw. And it was not just what I saw in how my folks moved and lived. My mother, when she realized I had a certain calling, she nurtured that. She didn't say, well, you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be this. No, what she saw, she nurtured. So in other words, when I was young, she put me in plays. So in other words, she worked for the city at the time, and she found out that all the white kids were able to be a part of this tour group that black folks normally wasn't. So she said, my baby's finna be, my baby gets ready to be, in that. So she made sure. So what she saw, she began to shape and she began to invest in. And when I was little, I was writing a movie called Off Drugs. Don't know why it was called that, but I started writing. So my mother, she would get extra paper from work. That was back in the day with the computer paper. Y'all remember the computer paper back in the day? That was green and white with the perforated sides. Right. Mama brought that extra paper home for her babies. Watch this. Told me to write my movie using that paper. Then, watch this. I'm like 9, 10. Watch this. She didn't stop there. She said, I think you should write the mayor and tell the mayor that you're writing your movie. I'm like 10. So, okay. I wrote the mayor. The mayor wrote me back congratulating me on my movie. Watch this. So when people say, well, how did Vicky get into all this activism and these high level, that seed was planted in me that the mayor need to know what a 10-year-old is doing. She planted that seed. It's not, it's that kind of stuff that you feel what I'm saying? That shaped me. So the best thing, and I hope I'm answering, in my opinion, I was around my grandparents too. There was a wisdom, you see, there was an energy, there was something by my mom and being around that energy, that presence, stuff that we picked up. We got more because we was exposed to true elders with integrity, and the way my mother shaped and nurtured us in simple ways. She don't consider herself profound, right? But her believing in one of my siblings is a master barber. He's retired now, but he works for celebrities, and they still try to pull him out of her. He got that honestly. She went to cut her boy's hair, and she gave him a bowl cut, and my brother was humiliated, and he took the clippers, and that's why he became a master. You see, but she bought the and then she shaped that in him. You feel what I'm saying? So it's not. We got it wrong. It ain't about now how we do all of this with the and look, I'm gonna tell you this much. This other thing that scared me. I'm gonna say this for real. I'm scared because a lot of these modern parents don't like their kids. They act like they're a curse and a burden. Right. My mother, we know she got a bunch of kids. We got on her nerves. She would tell us one day, I'm gonna be on vacation. Y'all not gonna know where I am. Yes, she let us know she was tired of us, but she loved us. She said it was a blessing. She nurtured her. She liked her kids. You know what I'm saying? So just the energy of love and the simplicity of nurturing and that slight observation and just her nurturing and cultivating what she saw we were good at, that you will create giants, you see, and you will develop that. It's not all this other stuff we doing now. And being a person, a mother, a father, a family of integrity. So when you try to keep your family intact as much as possible, if you're co-parenting, when you're good to each other, you treat each other good, even however your particular family system is set up, that matters to your babies. It's not all this, in my opinion. It's not the stuff I think I see now. I learned what I saw. I had access to the older generation that I saw moved in wisdom. We were in situations where people would say they were bored. They made us thrive in those areas of boredom. It caused us to be creative. You see, go outside, sit down, read a book, go to a museum. You feel what I'm saying? Watch me cut this grass. Watching mama make dresses. You feel what I'm saying? My grandmother was a master ceramicist. She would make ceramic and she taught for the city. You see, she taught others. It was in those moments being exposed to those kinds of things that really shaped us into, I believe, giants and nurturing that which you see in your children. I don't know.
That's beautiful. I got one last question before we out of here. Is that all right?
Yes, sir. That's all right.
Cool. All right. So with the uptick in violence as of lately, do you see this having implications of a spiritual war that is taking place on higher dimensions and higher principalities?
It is exactly mirroring spiritual war.
To this day.
To this day. It is
to this day.
basically mirroring what's happening. You know, there's a such thing as air control and ground control.
Yes.
You know that we only are able to take flight because of the connection, you see, that the air has with the ground. They work together, you see? And this is what's happening in the spiritual realm. If you can see the spiritual realm, just for purposes of this analogy, as air control and us on earth as ground control, these things work together. They're mirroring each other. And this is an extension also of the ancestors and also the family. One of the other manifestations that we must understand is that the royal blood line, there's still blood, the vibration of the ancestors' bloods that was flooding through the foundation of America, of course, around the world. But let's specifically talk about what we call America. Of course, we were on this side before it was officially America.
Right.
There's a text in scripture when it talks about Abel and Cain. When Cain killed Abel, the Most High told him his blood speaks. When he killed his brother, he told him it was his blood that was talking. The blood he spilled, you see. And so what we're seeing now, the agitation, some of the drama is being caused because of the injustice, the blood that was shed. It's coming to a head. Cops that are being busted now, remember, a lot of stuff we're hearing now, we knew. But cops that didn't realize they didn't turn off their cameras and recorded themselves doing something. When we're seeing stuff being leaked, that ain't by accident. That's the work of this shadow government, the ancestors, this war that's being agitated. I taught this in my series about the angels and my messengers that specifically talked about angels, not just the ancestors, but this was a 3-part series I did on the angels. And my students know that before the webinar, a powerful manifestation happened when Trump was in office with the government. And he was touched in the way that he was unable to be touched by the Supreme Court, by those that should have held him accountable on some other things. When he got touched, y'all remember with the virus and some stuff. Remember that? And they thought he was actually going to die at that particular time. And there were revelations that was happening. And the messengers, the angels, made it clear to me they're already here, like sleeper spies. So some of the stuff that's happening before Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed, as it's written in scripture, you understand. You know, there's way more revelations, multiple revelations, but as it's written on its face, before it was destroyed, Abraham's nephew had the opportunity to escape before the angels came in to destroy. They were agitating the thing itself, you see, and they were informing the humans of the goings down, you see, and they were working together before that particular destruction. So they were directly responsible and involved in certain battles, you understand. So I know I took the long road to say this, but yes, what's happening is spiritual warfare, and many of us are picking up on these frequencies, on these vibrations, and we're cooperating with some of this. And a part of that Jeremiah text that I read to you a little bit ago, remember, I told you that there's a part of it that says, you're going to destroy, overthrow, all of those things. Isn't that what you do sometimes when you are even tilling the land? Before you're building a skyscraper, sometimes you all know, before you're building the property, sometimes you have to destroy, right? Sometimes there has to be a type of violence, you understand, before the foundation
demolition.
The demolition.
Dynamite, you blowing up stuff.
So there's a changing of the guards, but then there's a changing of the gods. Yes, indeed.
Changing of the gods.
So again, as evidence that the course that you're bringing and teaching is so important. You know, the evidence of it is in the very things that we are saying, this evening, in particular, the children, parents, and the parents who have this attitude towards the children that they don't want them anymore. Right? So now we're speaking about cosmic contracts. because that child contracted and chose that bloodline and that family,
Powerful.
that womb to come through,
Powerful.
right? So if these children are making these decisions and the parents are so uncomfortable with the decisions that were made,
Whew.
you know what I'm saying? We have a lot of internal journeys to take.
It's true.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of self-auditing. You
Yes,
feel me? And
indeed.
yes, we need to take a a, 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 a cosmic colonic. You know what I mean?
Yes, indeed. Indeed.
Look in the mirror
Indeed.
and be like, yeah, you know what's really going on.
And tapping into your royal bloodline and developing your relationship spiritually, you're meant to call upon these forces to help you with such things.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's a disgust or a dislike for your own babies. You see, I don't care how dirty and ugly your circumstance, situations, emotions, feelings, stories are, whatever it is, you see, help me with these babies. You understand? Help me with how I feel about these gifts. I feel them as a burden. I don't want a spirit of rejection on my baby, and call upon these powers, you see, to help you. I'm saying these energies, these powers are meant to assist in every imaginable way. Yes, in every imaginable way. So, yes, 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 yes. So,
When you bring up bloodline,
yes.
when you bring up the importance of the spirit world, bloodlines, you know, and the aversion that the children, the parents are having, the newer generation of parents, right? Even though we had strict great grandparents
Oh, yeah.
and great grandmothers,
Yeah.
grandfathers, grandmothers, some of them didn't even tell us that they loved us.
Mhm.
Some were so they were so shell shocked from Jim Crow and things of that nature. Some of them had the PTSD, but it really begins to bring to my mind that a lot of things changed on this planet post Roe versus Wade. You know, the way that parents looked at children and the importance that they gave to these star seeds, which were ultimately their greatest creation and whatnot. I just think that the whole energy on the planet and the way that children were being quote unquote treated like, you know, second and third class citizens, I really feel that that energy ramped up post Roe versus Wade. And then, you know, I'm not going to get all political because I don't want to ruffle anybody's feathers. I would only ask you to look at it from a spiritual eye,
Yes.
see what I see. You dig what I'm saying? Because that's a very triggering and touchy topic.
It is.
However, these Europeans, you know what I mean, in a subliminal and in an outright way, told parents around the world, fuck them children.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
that has reverberated.
Yes.
Feel me? Along with the scourge of the crack era, the
Yes.
heroin era, there's so many different attacks
Yes.
on the foundation or the compass of our people when it came to how our hearts was set up and whatnot.
Indeed.
And we're beginning to see the residue of it right now.
That's
the
right.
residue of it right now. And I
Yes.
feel that we could be more responsible galactically,
Yes.
not on this planet,
Powerful.
galactically, for the entities that are trying their best, their damnness to try to come back and whatnot.
That's so freaking good, bruh. It is, and it's on purpose. It's an energy. It's a force. That's a part of the spiritual warfare we're discussing, because warfare takes on many expressions, different expressions. But ultimately, it's about taking us out, taking individuals out, and that's exactly what such mindsets do. It's so dangerous, and I've been teaching this for a while on my show and to my students because I've noticed that energy. And one of the things, even recently, Mother's Day, right? I'm at the grocery store, a Kroger branch, and was getting some flowers and getting some stuff. And a sister was ringing up my stuff. And you know, I used to say Happy Mother's Day, whatever the situation is. I think she may have either asked me first or vice versa. You know, are your mother Happy Mother's Day, whatever. And no, I don't have any babies, whatever. Do you? Yes, she has children. She looks like she was about in her 50s. And she immediately said to me, don't have children is too hard nowadays. I mean, that was in that short space of her ringing up my food and groceries and flowers. That was her immediate response to me. When she told me she had children and I wished her happy Mother's Day, she asked me, I don't have children, and told me not to. That wasn't a blessing for me to hear. And I understand if that's where you, but just to give that as it's too hard. That's what just that slight energy right there, just the spirit, the attitude, towards the babies. My mother, some years ago, I did a lot of ministry stuff, so people were reaching out on stuff, and this lady came to our house and she wanted to talk. She found out her granddaughter, who she was raising, the granddaughter was like about 18 actually, found out she was pregnant, and she wanted to come over. She talked to us. She was counseling. She was crying, weeping, screaming, all of that. Totally understandable, her being shocked. But then she started going so deep into her griefs that she said, it's gonna be a burden on me. It's gonna be this. Watch this. My mother, sweet little mother, sweet little mother, quiet mother. Whoa. My mother. While she was in the middle of going into deep extremes, but understanding her emotions, my mother has children, obviously, many. My mother has grandchildren. Watch this. She stopped her. You see? She said, wait a minute. She didn't speak nothing about tongues and the word and Jesus. She said, children are supposed to be a blessing. Wait a minute. So she interrupted that programming. God, that's good. My mother interrupted that programming real fast to remind her, yes, it's difficult. Yes, it's shocking. But babies, children, wait. She helped give her perspective. Do you know? I don't know how old the baby probably is now, probably close to a teenager. End up being miracles, just say that, in the family. And her love for but my mother helped to interrupt, to give her perspective, even in her grief, and to remind her. And she was there for her emotionally, you see, through this situation if she was needed. This is what I'm talking about. And sometimes you have to have that perspective coming from the outside. And I'm trying to tell us, don't lie about how you feel if you feel that your babies are a burden. Because even when you don't say it, they can feel it. Right. It will still be the same. I'm saying be honest about it so that you can course correct and pull upon the powers of your royal bloodline that's both terrestrial and celestial. I'm going to get ready to run here now.
Yes.
But that's what I wanted to say to you, that don't be ashamed. It's not by accident that you're feeling this way. You see what I'm saying?
That's right.
This is by design. But we have a resource, is what I'm saying, that can assist us in this oppressive environment that assists us. And that's what I want us to pull upon. I don't care how dirty, funky, stanky, humiliating your situation is. I don't care if there's molestation going on. I don't care if you got family lineage that you're humiliated about. That's why I want folks to come to my ancestral royal bloodline webinars, because I do rituals. Right. Leading up to it that have to do with cleaning up the bloodline, even the most humiliating thing that you're ashamed of that might be running through your bloodline. And even if you are the perpetrator, you come and stand in the gap for somebody that's in your family that you're concerned about and tap into these energies.
What's the site?
OnPurposeWithVicki.com, my website, OnPurposeWithVicki.com. Sunday, June 26th. I would love to see you there. I just want to bow to both of you, my brothers. Thank you so much for this absolutely cosmic time. Look, I done licked off my lipstick. My hair didn't half the makeup fell out. I'm so honored to be with you for reasons I can say publicly, and I've said it in the beginning, and reasons I can't say. You know what I mean. Mm-hmm. I thank you.
We thank you. We thank you as well. We want to say we are honored for your presence, and our audience enjoyed every single second of this conversation that we had. There were many downloads. Y'all go ahead. You know how at the end of the strip club they be having the garbage bag to put the singles in it. Y'all pull out y'all garbage bags and pick up these gems and whatnot, because we was making it rain today. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. It's a lot of mana dropping from the heavens there.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Most high.
A lot of mana. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I love y'all. I love y'all so much. I
love you too.
So much.
Indeed.
Thank you so
Love and
much. I
light.
love you, family. Everybody
Thank
that's
you.
tuned in, thank you. And I saw many of your powerful comments brother was putting up there, just explosive, beautiful interaction.
Yes, indeed. So y'all make sure y'all tap in on Sunday.
Sunday.
You
We
got
have
it June
this coming up
26th.
as well.
Oh, for
Well,
you?
yes,
Oh, yes. Oh, okay.
yeah, this Sunday we have Fear of a Blackamoor Messiah, where
Oh,
we'll be
yes.
getting into everything that's going on,
That's a
all around us.
legendary lecture
Yeah,
series.
And
that's a
this,
legendary series.
and this Saturday,
Woo!
June
Yes.
11th at 5:44 a.m., we're meeting at Stone Mountain so we can ascend the mountain
Mm,
Right.
at the sunrise, right? And we can
Powerful.
practice that old time religion,
come on.
That's right.
of
Come
dealing
on.
with, manifestation at the top of a mountain. Once
The
again,
mountaintop.
Oh, my
magnetism
God.
is the strongest because you're making first contact with the solar wind and those cosmic rays that reach you. You can program them with standing on top of a crystal. So if we can't manifest with this environment, if we can't manifest with these things set up, right? Because the universe is always conspiring for your success.
That's right.
Always.
Stop making excuses. We got work
Come
to
on.
do.
And this
You should honor to
KTL,
do it. Yes.
KTLUniversity.com
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
/Fear of a Black Messiah. I can't wait to see it live. I said it was legendary because I've been following y'all for a long time. Y'all been talking about that series. So I can't wait to be in your presence live to hear it, even though I hear you drop many gems about it. And it's so beautiful. I
It's
thank
gonna be
y'all so
awesome.
much.
Thank you so much, so much.
Thank
Stone
you.
Mountain will be a part of it because Stone Mountain is the holiest shrine to what they call white supremacy on the planet Earth. So we're going up there to change that energy. We're going to shift a lot of the energy, especially in the South. With me, Brother Blue, Brother Rich will be there, King Simon, and about 100 other people. So
My
if you're in
God.
that area,
Woo!
pull up in the Rising Saturday, the 11th. 5:45 a.m. We'll probably be up there till about noon. And then the next day we'll be doing this lecture. We might even do it as a live brunch along with the online adage to it as well. Go to the website, get your ticket, KTLUniversity.com. Then the next strong end, go and get your tickets for the download that you'll be receiving with our good brother Vicki Dillard at www.
Calm down.
I'm sorry, sister.
Yes,
All
I understand. No
purpose
problem.
with Vicky.com. Make
Thank
sure that
you.
you pull up in the building and get these blessings.
Yes.
Right? The good word. It's cosmic covering
Cosmic.
over
And,
your being.
Cosmic
and
covering.
this is why I call y'all legends. Who does stuff like I maybe know one or two other people. This is why y'all in the class. Who does that kind of stuff? Get me going on the top of a mountain. I love it.
It's
I
work.
love
Yeah, we
y'all.
gotta do that work. You know what I mean? We got work to
Yes.
do.
So I will talk to you all soon, my loves. Thank
Yes,
you,
indeed.
family.
Love and light
Thank
to
you.
everybody.
Thank
All
you
right.
so much.
Yes, we'll be back late in about an hour for Third Eye Thursdays. All right, family. Peace and love.